Hello and welcome to Elo Hell Esports. We have some Overwatch for you today as our Season 8 Get Good tournament has reached our playoff stage. An intermediate and an expert division game coming your way soon. And first, Unewhaven and Forefront in the quarterfinal of our intermediate division. My name is Charles. Joining me today is User Intel. How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. I'm very excited to see both of these teams. They've gone such a long way since the start of Get Good NA, and they're only going to be moving further. But unfortunately, it's only one team at this moment.
Yeah, Unewhaven and Forefront Esports coming in looking very good in our winners bracket as Forefront came in as our second seed and I believe 3 won their way into this quarterfinal along with Unewhaven who also defeated LSFC 3-1. Loser does not go home. Loser does get bumped down to the losers bracket and will get to continue living their playoff dream. However, unless you're the season 2 San Francisco Shock, you kind of want the smoothest way possible to the grand final, don't you, User?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. But for me, I think whoever technically wins this game is going to move forward with that building momentum. You definitely don't want to have to fall into that losers bracket after making it this far. You've set yourself up for Fun Esports and Varsity. They've been looking good. They've been looking great, even. But as you move forward, when it comes to competitive gaming and Overwatch, especially, 1/3 of the fight is just mentals.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at this SR, it's a lot about being able to adapt and to not let the momentum get to you as the losing team, because we see a lot of times at this level when teams are spending this much time scrimming, especially like you mentioned, Unewhaven are a university team, so these players get to spend a lot of time together. You scrim a certain way and you want to stick with what you've scrimmed. You don't want to switch off whatever you have prepared. So I mean, we see this at the pro level as well. Teams kind of stick with something that, even though as a caster, as an audience member, you think is not really working, that's what they know best. Because if they adapt to anything on the fly, it might not work out. So it's a delicate balance there that we're going to see today.
And I definitely have to agree, especially when we start getting into our first map. More than anything, it's going to be defining how these teams want to be going after each other. Lijiang Tower in itself is a map that we often see through traditional. I don't think we're really going to be seeing those things that make me wonder why I'm even playing Overwatch, such as like a Wrecking Ball Orisa composition that makes no sense, and they're just looking to play a bit of quick play. But either way, it's still a little bit exciting. These are these players' favorite maps, so that means both of these teams scrim it a lot. They're going to have a lot of room to play against it. But yet, I always feel like somehow one team always has the advantage over kind of each point, depending on what composition is their more favorite. It's often the flip of the coin depending on which ones you get. Sometimes the Wrecking Ball team is going to win if they get Gardens first, because they've got that point advantage, and that means once they go to Night Market, they're going to be getting it, and vice versa. If it's Brawl, you get those other two maps, and it works out a little bit of here and there. So I'm very interested to see how these teams want to use Lijiang Tower to their advantage.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Control is probably one of the more honest game modes and map types that we have in Overwatch because, like you said, it just depends on where you end up. Everybody can have the advantage, and we see a lot of 3 rounders coming up here. So, and just a bit of a preview, we have the lineups in as well. It looks like on the side of Forefront Esports, we will be getting Nuggies and FTB on the tank line, Reddit and Mosquito on the DPS line, and Peace and Ali on the support line. And I will switch it over to User to introduce Unewhaven Varsity.
Oh, definitely. I love Varsity. They've been looking pretty nice, I gotta admit. And so when we're looking at Varsity, by the way, they're on the right side if you didn't know. We've got some interesting players. We got the Megalodon. Well, I was about to say the Megalagloon, like SpongeBob, like the lagoon. We've got Loki, Magoo. My English is not great. All right, I feel like they're gonna listen back and make fun of me, but that's okay. We've got Rack, Romeo, and Halen, which is fairly interesting. This is basically their starting lineup. This is not anything out of the ordinary. They're not running anesthesia, so this means they are running what they are used to, which in turn could possibly mean that they are looking to win this game rather than kind of unfortunately needing someone to sub last second.
Yeah, no, they look very comfortable with this lineup as I believe we have readies coming through from both teams. We should be ready to go on Lijiang Tower at any second. Uh, I'm incredibly excited to watch how this plays out. A bit of a rainy day in Lijiang for any of those that have been to the Yangshuo area in real life.
Yeah.
It's like an hour's flight from where I grew up, so I've been
Ooh.
a couple times. That's pretty typical of the area.
Yeah, a little fun fact too, you don't see the rain unless you're playing at like high graphics on Overwatch. That's how you know who's playing on the low or not. But either way, we're seeing some pretty defining compositions. No Sim TP, which is very popular in this map and in this elo. Rather, they're going with a more mechanical composition, which is the Wrecking Ball Hog versus Wrecking Ball Diva. Two different styles of how you want to play this, but with Mosquito being onto that Sombra, it's going to leave them a lot of opportunities to be able to take this fight first, as long as Reddit takes control of the sky and protects them.
Reddit getting chunked down really low already, but Forefront have very quickly forced their way onto the field, onto the control point. Taking damage from all sides now, though, as Megalodon peppering them with shots through that window, and nobody really able to get a sightline on that user. It's kind of a game of cat and mouse here, of just these DPS players playing hide and seek for a bit.
They're definitely struggling to find each other first, but the fact that McNuggies is just being pushed down, and the Forest Resources is being put into shutting down Reddit, Varsity, they just have so much room to play this game.
Yeah, Forefront had early control of the point, but as the point unlocked, Unewhaven forced their way forward, and eventually, with this composition, was able to get the surrounds and get the positioning, and Forefront, with no barrier especially, had no idea where to lock, so they eventually have to give this up. Oh, great hook coming from Nuggies, though, so that's a far out of the play from Unewhaven, and Halen is not going to be available with their resurrection, given how close to spawn that happened to Forefront, so now Unewhaven, after a great start on the defensive front, another great hook is going to come out, but a fantastic violate is going to mitigate any threat that Nuggies has, and the Hog hits the deck.
Now look at that, they're already trying to struggle to move in. Varsity's composition is just very superior at this long-term sustain and just working as a unit, while Forefront kind of more relies on maybe one person making a mistake on Varsity, and then, you know, they can be able to move in. But as FTP gets antied, you have to wondering, what are you going to do to engage? You're building up this nano, and you have the Hog really good at hooking, but you're relying on Reddit.
Boy, well, Reddit is relied on the Nano Far is going to one-shot Romeo. The Diva Bomb comes out here. Can he get to safety? Reddit is in a bit of trouble here. Goes down with the Barrage, but not before getting two picks. Diva and Tracer out of contention here, but both the tanks on Unewhaven have dumped their ultimates, and it is working out. It looks like Unewhaven are going to hang on for a little bit longer, but the Barrage into the whole Hog, that is not what I would have went with, sir. Oh, and Nuggies is able to delete that far out of all. Forefront have switched the point back to them as well, but Unewhaven are getting the picks. It's a very deathmatchy comp here with all the burst damage potential.
Oh no, see, it's exactly as I pointed. They put a lot of effort into Reddit just being able to one-shot and shut them down, but Varsity has a lot more utility when it comes to working together. When Forefront are split, that's when they're working best, but being all together in this one point against Varsity, who are focusing down single targets at a time, that means you're going to be losing these fights very quickly if you're not being able to get an immediate advantage like this.
Oh no, Mosquito. Last fight territory coming up, and Forefront have to do it a player short, but they do pick up the Tracer before, Beast goes down 91% to Nano Boost. Is going to be absolutely brutal, and now it is Desperation Hour as Forefront are just trickling onto the point, and they do get control, but Unewhaven have the picks. But Nuggies seem to, with the help of the mines now, has cemented their presence on the field and on the payload. It doesn't look like Unewhaven can challenge this any longer, and they do go for a soft reset for the time being. Forefront, despite losing the Ana and Soldier early on, have somehow managed to flip the point with two pretty big ultimates coming up.
My goodness, that fight was given to FTB's own mind. Just because it doesn't allow Varsity to be able to go in and peel, especially with Loki being hit very early, well, it gave them a bit of a struggle. Now Forefront, they have a lot of room just to be able to play around. You already see this kind of scuffle of a fight, but eventually they're not going to take it on directly to the point.
Yeah, that's really tough. Oh, great! Diva Bomb picking up from Moga. The Self-Destruct takes down 3. The Jets takes down a 3rd. Great work from Unewhaven. I believe they lost Loki on Tracer early on here, but they were able to flip that with a fantastic Diva Bomb. They invested a lot of resources into shutting down Mosquito on the Soldier early on, and it looked like it didn't pay out until we had Mogu with different ideas. Unewhaven take the lead 1-0 here in the GitGud tournament.
I think it also just hurts when the fact that your own Pharah has been struggling to go up against that Diva Bomb. We've already seen it twice, and that's a bit unfortunate, I gotta admit. It's not often the Pharah is going to let themselves get hit, but that's kind of what gave them up. They lost their duo very early on. So when going in, they're basically going to be fighting over these server rooms. Forefront, they have a nice idea. I can definitely see this composition working. It's a very nice sentiment, but Varsity understand what they're playing with, and I think especially with this Junkrat, they're going to be able to move around much quicker. As long as they rely on their TPs to be able to move themselves around, they can basically dive whoever they want, even if the Wrecking Ball composition has a lot of mobility and is looking to take these flank angles as the Sombra is going from behind, the rest of the team going up in the front, and the Pharah is looking to be rude.
Yeah, Lohi getting chunked down early on, but is going to survive that. We went from a mirror matchup to a very different style comp here as both teams lose a DPS early on. It looks like Forefront once again have gone to the point early, but you don't really want to fight on the point because this composition, Unewhaven have all the brawl potential in the world. You're going up against a wall of pain. Junkrat, Ryan, Sigma, so much bleed damage coming your way. Your best bet is to play split, but oh no, Ali clearly did not get that memo as the pin takes down the Mercy, as it looks like Unewhaven with the brawl comp here have established their dominance on point and have started to control progress.
It hurts when you just group up for a small second and someone gets caught out. Especially with these switches that Varsity are going on to. That means they're going to be having a lot more counters when it comes to how Forefront want to play. That Pharah can walk in, try to burst down, but not only is Mugu onto that Sigma with the shield, but the fact that they now have two very high mobility DPS means that Reddit's going to have a lot of issues trying to take these fights. Like go immediately! That was almost a one clip!
Yeah, Reddit running into a bit of trouble here, has the Mercy pocket of Ali to think. FTB though takes down Romeo, the main source of healing on the side of Unewhaven does go down, but not before letting the app matrix out. So there are still reasons to fight with here. Halen only 10% away from the sound barrier as well. Mobu getting the flux online. Are Unewhaven going to invest ults? Forefront says it doesn't matter because we are, and Unewhaven are going to start dropping. The flux is invested eventually, but not before the point flips over and the main tank is down. Not quite sure if I agree with that decision as Mogu hits the deck as well. All for Reddit getting a double kill, and the Barrage is online now along with Anna's, Pieces, Nano here. Unewhaven, I mean, I think that was a case of either use ults early or don't use ults at all, and Unewhaven went for something in the middle, user.
Yeah, they got a little angry. I think Varsity definitely wants to use that ult so they can switch. They're now going on to the Wrecking Ball mirror. Hey, look at this Visor being used very early, but that's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, Reddit just has to hide here, but the beat now prompts Mogu to go for a very aggressive 1v2 here against the Pharmacy duo. Eventually does have to get out. Reddit now cleared with a bit of space with the Barrage still in tow. Baits out part of that Matrix. Does he go for it? The EMP comes through and the Barrage finds Romeo. But that Diva is going to cut the bar down, so Reddit's still no longer in the game. FTB on the ball, very close to another fight-winning minefield potentially, but is going to get bursted down by Unewhaven as well as the flip of the point comes through. Both teams neck and neck, mere single-digit percentage points separating them for the time being.
Yeah, Varsity did an amazing job of just shutting down that Pharah, who has been the main issue. Reddit being able to get a lot of damage in, but now they have to take a direct kind of 1v1, and the main difference is going to be how they want to take it. Varsity definitely have the kind of advantage when it comes to positioning, but going up against two very big ultimates such as Mine and Nano, they definitely need a first early pick onto Mosquito if they want to be able to win this out.
Alright, Reddit now off the far onto that Tracer, is desperately diving that Ana, but great kill from Mogu, that Matrix keeping everybody alive here. Romeo has Mogu to think, and then lets the Nano rip, but it's too little too late. FTB with 3. Absolutely ridiculous play on the ball. The point gets flipped over yet again. But on the bright side from Unewhaven, it is one fight territory for them.
Hey, just a big brain strategy. Booping everyone into the mines basically guaranteed that someone was going to die. Even if Mogu was absolutely popping off, being able to protect Romeo, that DM only lasts for so long. Though in this one fight scenario, Forefront Esports are struggling to kind of keep up the aggression and first kind of contact, while Varsity are playing a lot more passive, so it's almost like they're playing into how Forefront want to be doing it, but they're still somehow bringing the advantage into their own reign. So this Pulse Bomb says otherwise!
Alright, 2 Tracer Pulse Bombs, 2 breaks go down. FTB goes down early as well. There was Ragna answering with a Wrecking Ball pop-off moment of their own as Mogu gets the remake kill. You hate to see it as the point now flips back over towards Unewhaven. Do we even hit OT here? Can that Lucio touch him? No. And Unewhaven take the round 2-0 and take the map, take the lead of the series 1-0 here in Season 8 of GitGud.
Man, it was very interesting. It almost felt like Varsity were playing passive, trying to force Forefront Esports to walk into them, but every time Forefront wanted to take the aggression, it was never at the right time. They were almost kind of, in a sense, passively playing that aggression. Also, that is a steal of the play of the game. Entirely toxic, and you'll be reported for that. Either way, when we saw them use that visor on last point, it was at a moment to where nobody was diving in. They weren't trying to overstay their welcome. And in a composition like that, where Varsity are going to be able to just peel for a second, they have Lucio. That means they're going to be able to just run into you. You're not going to be able to win that if you're not trying to get those early picks, if you're not using your ults early, and if you're not trying to stagger them. And I think that's eventually what we saw going on to those first 2 points. We got to remember too, Varsity, they don't have the better win record, so it's more impressive to see them kind of changing their mindset, adapting, and even going up against Forefront Esports to be able to take these kind of very passive, slow fights and use them to their advantage. A lot of these times, especially in the Wrecking Ball compositions, I often say, if you don't move in first, you've already lost that game. You've already lost, because if that ball is going to slam you down first, that means that Tracer's going to follow up in one clip, most likely. But hey, I would like to give more of that credit to Mugu, who has just been absolutely insane throughout this entire match. The amount of times I've seen this person eat an entire clip before it hits Romeo is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I often liken Diva players to like the janitors of the world. They do a really, really crucial job, and if they do it well, you don't really notice. And just like being in the right places, tanking the right damage, having the DM right up at the right time. And I think you're absolutely right. Unewhaven here, I'm really impressed that they're able to play both the styles very well. I'm curious to see what Forefront has to answer to that. And that's not what you expect from the lower seed team. You expect the lower seed to come in getting really good at one comp and trying to challenge the favorites. But Forefront have looked just a little bit slower with the adaptation. So I'm very, very excited to see what Map 2 comes up with. We'll be bringing you that very shortly after a quick break. Stick around. We'll be right back. And we weren't kidding when we said just a short break, but User appears to have already been bored by the lack of... User, hello? User?
Oh, I'm so...
User, Overwatch coming up.
Oh, we were using that short break for me to catch up on my beauty sleep. Just that match was so quick, I almost got a little bit of the Z's out in front. But you're 100% right. We are back here. I just needed a short break just to get some technical things. You know, my hair, one line was out of place, so I had to fix that up.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, but we've had a moment to now understand what's going to be happening next, and I'm very excited just to be able to point out the next map, because this is going to be how Forefront want to take this. It's Eichenwald. Eichenwald is a beautiful map. One of the only maps in Overwatch to where they made a change and then it didn't become instantly hated, such as like Watch Point Gibraltar. I'm thinking of the map on the moon.
Horizon,
yes, Horizon.
Colony.
Yeah, nobody likes that map. Okay, I do though. Either way, Varsity have a lot of room to be able to play this. This map is very kind of curious, I think, in the ways that you want to take it, because it very much is trying to adapt to your enemy's playstyle and compositions. But I mean, in a technical sense, I guess that's just Overwatch, but I'm not here just to be talking about theoreticals. I'm here to tell you that it's going to be curious to see, because both of these teams have been looking like they prefer to run kind of just that wrecking ball competition with the Pharah. Though Varsity did originally run out on Lijiang Tower with that brawl, meaning that they are comfortable with flexing around, and that's what I really love. It's just seeing that adaptability, knowing that as they're going to be moving in, they're going to be able to switch things up if they need to on the spot, especially with these first picks. We're going to more worry about the defending side, because the attacking side are always rude and like to mess with us. I don't expect Reddit to go on to the Torbjorn, but seeing on this defense, double shield bunker, they're using that Pharah just to be able to blast down, make some big poke damage on rotation, and using that soldier just to be able to poke. I'm seeing a lot more soldier in these games too, which is absolutely beautiful. I'm definitely a big fan of the legs. I definitely have a lot of respect to how you like to strut them, though it's going to be weird to see how they try to merge in. I don't expect them to run out on this composition. Forefront Esports, I don't think that's a really good attacking comp, especially against a composition that's going to be able to counter you. Though with this quick switch, they seem confident on it, and I guess we'll just have to see. Though it's slow moving, I guess it does have a lot of self-sustain and the ability to kind of slowly poke it. But when it comes to team synergy and trying to just break down this double shield, they are going to struggle.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. They're walking into a lot of damage here with very little shields to mitigate, and Nuggies here already being chunked down to half. Reddit and Mosquito in the air, not finding much love either. That Echo is going to find a lot of trouble because that Pharah and that Soldier is going to be coming after them. Oh, but Megalodon is going to be able to chunk down the Cassidy first, as Mosquito is now out of the fight. Forefront now in a bit of trouble, but the Resurrection does come through. A key resource gone. But looks like a very valuable res for the time being, as Forefront are not able to stay in the fight. And just as I say that, the Caster Curse swoops in. Fantastic work from Megalodon to get rid of Mosquito, but now Pocketless, as now Halen is down. Both Mercies actually now missing from both the teams, as Megalodon now lacking some healing in a pretty tough position here. Eventually is going to get bursted down. Lots of chaos left, right, and center. It doesn't look like Unewhaven are taking too much advantage of the double barrier composition's ability to really anchor themselves to a point. They're kind of, I don't know, user, is it just me, or have they kind of like submitted to the chaos of the Hog and Sigma comp?
No, you're definitely right, because the big issue that they took in that fight, even though they won it, is that they gave Forefront Esports a chance. They're not split up. They're kind of not using their shields against this Hog and worrying about things. Their competition is going to win 10 out of 10, especially with the fact that Loki and Megalodon have been putting in an insane amount of damage, and the supports are being able to stay alive like Romeo. That means they're going to win. Just use your shield to the advantage. It's the most annoying composition in the game. Nobody wants to play it anymore, but you are, so you have to use it.
Alright, Forefront are going to Valkyrie, and Unewhaven are going to answer with a Flux. Mogu, great work to bait out the hook, block it, and then go for the Flux, and as a result, Peace is going to go down. Megalodon a lot of space to work with, doing a lot of damage, but the support is there, and so is the Barrage. A double kill. The Echo Mercy duo is going to be taken down as well. Loki finding 2 more with the Tac Visor. Unewhaven showing the value of getting your ultimates online as soon as possible. They went into this fight with 4 ultimates, and they weren't shy about using them.
They definitely felt more confident using those ults, knowing that they're going to be able to build them really fast, especially Megalodon, who should be building it basically every fight because it's just far and that's what they do. But look at that. It's a beautiful pick, and they're not being able to take these rotations. They're not being able to find these angles that they want, and it's a big weakness going into their competition. Though with this Gravitic Flux and Copy coming up, they can take this fight early, though Rax Bongo is going to be slowing them down, which is very much the weakness of their comp.
Yeah, that Bongo is going to be brutal. Like you said, double barrier compositions like to play as slow as possible, and now Loki has some pretty good sight lines, able to dump down damage to that backline. That Ana is in a bit of trouble. Great peel from the Hog to take that damage, and now Halen engages the Valkyrie in response to Romeo going down so close to an Matrix, but unable to get it off in time. Unewhaven all of a sudden look to be in a little bit of trouble here as they're forced towards the cottage with no ultimates to bank on. Forefront now looking healthier and healthier, as Halen now struggling to solo heal the team on the Mercy. Nuggies now taking the advantage, stepping forward. Great whole Hog to deny that resurrection and to take down the immortality field as all that space created with that ultimate. And a fantastic hook. Romeo playing respawn simulator for the time being. Great work to mitigate any value of that amplification matrix. Fantastic work from Nuggies on the Roadhog.
It's incredibly unlucky to see Romeo get picked off first. Romeo's going to be able to sustain them for a very long time. But again, Varsity, I don't think you saw it, but at one point, the Sigma and the Orisa were looking down the same side angle, and so Hog came behind, said hi, and just bullied them, which is absolutely just a pressure that they kind of had there. Now, with them being onto the high ground, at least they're gonna have one single angle to watch out, even use that visor to be able to focus people down. But again, you need to be putting more pressure. Hog is going to be your biggest threat. I don't think Mosquito and Reddit are going to be able to do too much because you have your own counters to it, as, you know, my point says. But still, they need to worry more about how they're going to be using their own pieces to kind of take these fights. They've already got early staggers. Just continue doing that.
Yeah, no, Loki here, having a bit of a day at the firing range. Great mechanics from this player here. Fantastic pull as well. Rack just putting that on around the corner, and Peace is sent back into spawn, and without the honor is how Nuggies going to hit the deck hard as well. Great coordination there from Rack. Great pull, still one of the best team abilities to use in Overwatch despite the nerfs that came in a couple months ago, and now big ultimates coming on from both sides, user.
Ooh, Megalodon's already waiting to use this barrage. It's in a dirty spot too. We see one, we see two, and it pops.
They don't know! They don't know! Okay, so you trade 2 for 1, but Romeo is able to take advantage of the chaos and take down Reddit as well. A 5-on-3 fight is going to be pretty straightforward here for Unewhaven to take now. And, oh no, oh my goodness, Rack. Oh, that was so close to a Reddit moment. User, we almost saw the funny.
Yeah, that's not how the hook works, alright? I've been hooked around those corners enough to know how it works, and now they're very much struggling. I'm more interested to see Makito using this Genji. I don't think Genji's going to be helping very much. We already see Genji, deflects is not going to be working. And again, we're doing an amazing job of Rack being able to watch the backline. Now they're going to Flux. This is going to be a big opener, just having them on half health. Anyone who comes through that big choke in the middle house, castle, is going to be hit with so much damage.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the counter flux is going to come out as well, and the whole hog goes straight into Mogu's hands, but that damage mitigation was not enough, as Forefront against all odds have somehow managed to create a slight opening, but just as I say that, Loki is going to pop up again, the tack visor online as well. Then again, with Loki's mechanics, you're not sure if the tack visor is actually going to make a difference. We're now closing an OT, and Reddit now switching over onto duping the Orisa is going to be a big game changer here, creating a bit of an anchor point as well as some big bongos for the team to feast on. Mogu is going to take down the Genji here, as Mosquito not finding too much value on that hero, as the ball get knocked off the map. Okay, the slam is able to get them back up, but it's now full stall territory for Forefront, as Unewhaven now looking very, very solid. Another fantastic pull coming out here. So much damage raising up from Megalodon. So close to another barrage as well. It's just stall clock now. Unewhaven have put on a masterclass defensive display after some, a bit of a, shall we say, rocky start on point A. Street space have been so incredibly clean.
My goodness, that payload really only got that far was because Varsity let them. Varsity got hit with a little bit more poke from the Echo, who's just flying, you know, just being like a little rat, as I'd like to say. And, well, it got them shut, and it kind of just let them move that payload a little longer. Either way, Varsity's composition, they played it to his strength, while Forefront tried to put a lot of pressure onto flanking and enabling their own Roadhog to kind of hook somebody and kill. The big issue that comes into is the fact that they are hiding on top of a castle. And I don't know if you've ever like tried to siege, you know, a castle before. I don't think we've lived in that medieval timeline since, you know, like the 1800s. But it is very difficult. And you're not going to be able to just walk up the stairs and say, whoa, would you mind if I hit you? No! You gotta be more passive, more aggressive about it, or at least switch things up. If you have an Echo, right now run the Pharah. They are running a soldier, meaning they're going to counter you no matter what, but at least you have those concussion blasts to be able to boot them up. CC is by far the most annoying thing to go up against double shield, and with Forefront now running it, they're going to be switching kind of to that Pharah. So it's a similar thing what we saw Varsity run, but here's the thing. Varsity have already shown they are ready to adapt and prepare on the spot, and their DPS have been showing that they can basically bring it back in any scenario. So with this teleporting kind of brawl, as long as Reddit doesn't shut it down, they will be able to push it. But
is it gonna work?
Doing the
Is it gonna work? The Lucio makes it. They all make it over. They assault the point. Unewhaven have appeared out of nowhere, straight onto the point. They already get a tick. Fantastic coordination. I mean, that's just swim time diff. Fantastic work out. Mobu does get demech though, so that could be the first signs of trouble as the Forefront are happy to collapse back in on the very, very tanky double barrel competition. But there goes the point. Unewhaven. My goodness, defense was just a warm-up. That attack, a blistering run on point, a devastating stagger as well onto Mosquito, who is going to get split spawn. Absolutely brutal. They get through this gate before Forefront to fully respawn. That's ridiculous. What a play. We've seen that Maywall come up before, but teams still aren't really prepped for it.
No matter what elo we go, no matter where we are, you can lead the C9, but the C9 cannot lead you. And look at this, they're already taking an early fight. They are being anti though, so they are struggling to move forward, but they still have respawns.
And this is a brawl composition with no Lucio. Unewhaven in a bit of trouble here, and Reddit now taking that onus. Getting a little bit aggressive, getting a little bit over-aggressive. Oh my goodness. Mogu getting a lot of work done in the A here, as now the switches are going to come, the swaps are going to come through. As it looks like both teams are switching kills left and right and center, but Unewhaven are going to continue to commit to this because they know they have that 10 or so yards to go, and as long as they keep pressure on Forefront, they have to keep touching the point. This is really tough. Can anybody else stall? I don't think so. I think that's it. It's just the Wrecking Ball, and that bomb here is not going to be able to help anything, and that is going to be it. Unewhaven have speed ran this attack.
Charles, I'm gonna lose it.
Oy.
Charles, I'm going to lose it. So many confusing emotions. The C9 happens. They get on the point for a second, lose that capture, 5 minutes go in. But then, once we move on to the second point, they're able to get a pick. They're able to find an opening, and then Megalodon, let me take off my glasses for this so you can see my emotions, and I'm gonna move my hair back so the forehead comes out. Megalodon was looking for a barrage, but hesitated, and that's what cost them everything. You gave Varsity enough room to get more picks. The moment that they started getting 2 picks, they started bringing it back. Your competition is not going to win that fight against the Brawl if you're jumping down on them. But the Far was on the low ground. They walked into them, and Forefront Esports spelled their own defeat that entire map. I don't know what's going on, and I'm worried for them in the long run because that's kind of a big fundamental issue that you need to be able to adapt and work on to continue moving forward in this series, especially in the losers bracket. Stuff like that is not going to go over people's head the moment that they realize, wait, did you make a mistake? Let's abuse it. We're gonna abuse it every single time.
So we're having a bit of a conversation about win conditions right now, and you marked the barrage as a win condition, and I marked the Lucio dying as a win condition, and neither of this materialized. However, I would like to come to Forefront's defense just for a touch here, because yes, Unewhaven, they had the opening, did not take it, did not recognize that that was their win advantage, and kind of stalled it. But I will say Unewhaven did a really good job at forcing their own win advantage. Their win condition was to make Forefront play on point. And so when Unewhaven got that Lucio picked, instead of retreating and taking another fight, just like Forefront want them to, they retreated onto the point. And because they recognized that they were close enough to the end of the map, that Forefront would have to come to them and play the payload. And that's where you don't want to be against a brawl composition. So, in Forefront's defense, Unewhaven did force them into that situation to have to play on point. So I do have a little bit of sympathy for how that ended up playing out. But like you said, a bit of a map of missed opportunities there.
A lot of that also just goes to my blood pressure kind of increasing. Just absolutely going off. I will have to admit, though, Forefront Esports aren't looking like they're out of the series. As much as I want to downplay them because that just makes me so mad to see what happened, well, they're still going to be able to kind of bring it back. And honestly, we'll have to just see what happens after the break. They'll have a moment to get coached. They'll have a moment to drink some water. Maybe you should too, because we'll be right back after this short break.
Just keep painting constellations. You cover me in glitter till I'm shining bright. I never wanna leave the sky. The way you made me feel alive. I was in the dark and baby, you're the light. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Couldn't fight if I wanted. Flying to places that I never thought I could go. You're a meteor shower, falling down all over me. Yeah, you're making me glow. Couldn't fight if I wanted. Flying to places that I never thought I could go. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me.
Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I ever been before. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I ever been before.
Welcome back to Elo Hell Esports. We have a heck of a series coming your way as Unewhaven Varsity lead Forefront Esports 2-0 after dominant displays on Lijiang and Eichenwald. User, what are we expecting next? We're headed to Junkertown. Some Widow play? What you got in mind?
Oh man, Junkertown as a map. What can I say about it other than how famous it is for the double sniper composition? But I don't think we should be expecting too much out of it. A lot of these teams, especially in the intermediate, they're not really favoring it. I mean, sometimes we are seeing it being used maybe only on first point, then second point. It gets weaker as you continue going on, and that's just kind of the fundamental of how Junkertown works. But more than anything, I think this is where we see Forefront starting to get back any kind of momentum that they've been looking for, especially since we saw them on Eichenwald first attack. They ran something very weird. Although that weird comp looks very good on Junkertown, and I'm very excited to see how this is going to work. I would really appreciate if this did not go to 3-0, because Forefront have gone very far in this series, this far, to just lose that easily, you know? So I'm very much expecting to see a lot more of these Wrecking Ball Hog compositions. But on the other side, I think Varsity, they're going to be running what they are typical to. If they're not running that Wrecking Ball Sigma, they're running that double shield. Brawl's not very good on Junkertown because those sight lines are just so long. You know, it's like walking into the line of sight in front of a sniper. They're just going to shoot you the moment that you're like there, and you only have so much shield. And I think that's kind of the dynamic we're going to be seeing. So it's either if Forefront can play to their advantages and play fast, they will win. They can do this. But if they let Varsity just play the game, you know, just like your lights turning off, it's going to be a little confusing.
Yeah, I'm gonna just mute myself, call an electrician real quick. I'll check on that in a second. But No, you're absolutely right. I think that is a great map pick from Forefront. I think that plays exactly into their advantages. We know they like the ball compositions. We know they play Sigma a good hog, especially with all the high ground that maybe the double barriers to set up on. A quick hog hook can ruin your day real quick. So very excited to see how this plays out. Forefront now backs up against the wall. A loss on this map sends them down to the losers bracket. A lot more games, a lot more chaos, and a lot higher stakes. The things you kind of want to avoid in a playoff stage. So, a spot in the semifinals beckons for Unewhaven if they can continue their dominant run. For those that weren't here, user, tell them how good they were on Iconvolt.
I gotta say, Varsity were absolutely beautiful. They somehow turned every scary situation into one that worked out in their favor. And that's not something every intermediate team is going to have the ability to do. Though moving out Forefront Esports, they seem to want to be more comfortable. They're running out on that double shield, but Varsity, they've been able to adapt. I'm not too scared to see how they're going to be playing this, especially with that Alright, you take over.
Alright, well, that's the big. I was just going to question why they didn't choose to go with a ball composition, but it looks like Mosquito says comps don't matter. I just lock Widow and get headshots. Great shot there. Reddit here getting a lot of the attention out of Mogu. And if your shield's focused on that Hanzo, I got bad news for you, buddy. That Widow's gonna tear your backline to shreds.
Definitely have to agree. Look at that, already making so much space off of that first pick, and then the second one. This is what I've been looking for. Mosquito is taking these angles, taking these long strides, and it's allowing them to start getting these early picks. Wrecking Ball competition is so scared to move in without that Discord. Though with this pressure onto Mosquito, this may lead to a slower push.
Yeah, finally, about, a whole minute onto the map, they finally decide that focusing Mosquito might be a good idea, but as one Sniper gets focused, the other one pops off as Reddit gets another pick. Unewhaven don't have anything to deal with this pressure for the time being. Now it's the Tracer of Megalodon desperately trying to hold on and contest it, but I think that's going to be it for point A. A great attack from Unewhaven. For Forefront off the back of some great performances on their snipers that finally, for the first time this map, we're going to see a definite DPS to go.
Really good and early push. The DPS gave Mosquito a lot of room to just go on those flanks and basically feel confident. Sure, Loki is going to be having that EMP, which can signify an end to these fights, but I really don't expect them to kind of slow down on this momentum. The double shield still works very well because it's going to be harder for that Wrecking Ball rack to try and escape these fights. And unless we see Varsity move in first, they're not really going to take much. They're already down one in these fights, so this EMP has to be something special.
Yeah, Mosquito popping the sights means that the EMP is going to have to be delayed. It's going to be very easy to cancel that if you can see where it's coming from. And Loki, decides not to go for it, just going to wait it out, but Mosquito is going to find another pick in the process. And all for Reddit, already the Dragons ready, just taking this great angle here, and now Forefront are going to press an advantage, continue and push aggressively for that team wipe. And now the EMP, if it comes at all, will have to come at the very end of point B, which is not where you want to be taking these fights. And I don't know if a contestant can be available at all. Loki now onto the point. Oh my god, don't EMP. Please don't EMP. Yep, okay, Loki gets out of there alive, but oh no. Loki plays a translocator right outside the point.
Well, Varsity are now kind of getting a little bit too confident with the way that they are taking these engagements. They're now finally switching things up. They're now in a small type of mirror, but even then, they are not paying attention to the people who have been shutting them down every fight.
Oh my goodness!
And while they're moving in, look at that. Hanzo's just
Reddit's
really able to escape.
like a Reinhardt! Okay, Rack eventually does go down another death in a long string of suffering for Unewhaven. That eventually they clap back with the EMP. FTV does go down because Forefront, I believe, both supports were caught out there. No escapability for the Mercy and no Immortality field ready for a piece. But speaking of defensive ults, Romeo with the trans. I don't know if I missed something there, user, so correct me if I'm wrong. I personally did not see a threat onto that Zen, and if you get 3 picks there already, if your Zen gets traded out, I don't quite know what that was for, if you could enlighten me on
Mosquito had shot Romeo a little and kind of pressured them into using it. Romeo doesn't want to end up dying and being the reason why they lose this fight, but now they don't have that really big ultimate for what's about to happen next. Reddit is already set up, prepared to use these dragons, and they're just going to be standing on top of that high ground. Look how much they are pushing it on the side of Forefront, and they're not really being punished. This is why they're working out so well, especially with this Falcon Dragons.
Boy, Dragon Strike comes out. Hello, Dragons. Bye-bye, high ground. Great work here. 3 picks here as Ali. Well, Ali's on a bit of a tear. She gets 2 here as a Mosquito is going to get taken down, but the res is there. A double kill plus the resurrection. I don't care what happens at the end of the map. That's my play of the game. And now Rack is being pressured so brutally. Oh my goodness, this payload's not gonna stop, is it? They have 3 more ults on the side of Forefront. The sights have been popped. Bob is now going to be committed. A great flux catches basically the whole team. FTB does not get it canceled and forces the immortality field out as well. Eventually, is going to pay for your sins, but it's looking really tough. Full stall territory now, but on the bright side, looks like Unewhaven are going to be able to shoot out of an amp matrix, and that eventually is going to pay off. That pressure eventually boils over. Forefront do have to back up after a really, really good push. It looked very promising for a bit, but then Peace was not able to use that immortality field to mitigate a lot of the damage came out from the flux. But Halen was then able to use the amplification matrix to keep everybody alive and to make sure Megalodon was a huge threat from the backline and was able to challenge Mosquito on the Widow, who now switched over to the Cowboy. Cassidy now on the field to play.
I gotta admit, Moga's been impressing me the more and more I see them play. They're being able to win these fights, especially build up this Rubinic Flux, which is going to be able to help. But as long as they shut down the DPS, they can win it out. And they're not touching the payload, but now it's last second.
Alright, another great dragon is going to come out, and Romeo is going to go down. Unewhaven are running out of options here as Reddit now running Rampage on the point. A Hanzo that's not afraid to brawl, gets some melee damage in. Fantastic work. A little bit of, some hiccups here and there, but overall, a fantastic attack run for Forefront.
Not the worst type of snowball, but it's not the best either. They definitely could have, in a better scenario, been able to push that all the way, cap 3 minutes, and, maybe make a bread sandwich or something. I don't know what a bread sandwich is, if that's just 3 different types of bread swished in together, and I don't know, that's all called Subway or maybe. Either way, that was a lot better for Forefront Esports. I loved seeing that initiative coming out of them, especially from Mosquito, who just showed up and basically put everything into high gear. But not to let Reddit kind of slow down a little. Those two were very much the reasons why that payload was able to move as far as it did. The reason is because they played forward. They played forward and they were taking picks. They were never at the same angle, so we often saw Varsity, which was an issue we saw back on Iconvault, not kind of using those 2 shields against those 2 angles. They're focused down on the same line, so we're obviously going to see Mosquito end up getting those headshots, and then Reddit's going to be able to get that poke damage in. Altogether and Pecan, they don't really have to worry about anything. They just have to keep their tanks up. At times, yes, your supports, but that's basically how you're going to move forward. I want to see Varsity kind of adapting to this. Either slow them down or you take the initiative. Because now you have a minute kind of time bank to try to beat if you want to be able to kind of push this payload in.
Yeah, and we see once again the attack Widow defense Ashe duel coming out. Mosquito is not going to have a pocket, but that's not going to matter. A quick double tap is going to take a low key out. So now the onus is a Megalodon on the Hanzo to get a lot of this damage in. A great pull coming out from Nuggies here is going to spell a little bit of trouble, but another pull answering of their own. Rack there. Both these Orisas showing off that main tank Orisa players do have some mechanics to fall back on, and a bit of an Orisa dip here as Rack gets caught out. Unewhaven are going to have to slow their attack down just a touch here, as they're now without their anchor tank.
It's a bit unfortunate. They are just not finding any room with this Widowmaker, and if the Widowmaker doesn't work very early on, it's very much like the old copy pasta meme. I'll switch when I miss. You very much need to switch. You're now losing this frontline fight because Mosquito is using the dynamite to lower down your tanks, and if your DPS aren't getting anything, well, then your tanks have to try to move in and give you that space. They're not being able to do that. They're just taking so much damage, it's becoming impossible. And mind you, they have a Zenyatta, So they are putting in the more damage, and they are losing the shield war, which is what matters the most.
Yeah, damage doesn't matter as long as the shields are up, and like you said, they can't really take advantage of those Discord orbs for the time being. Now that Widow is going to challenge FTB, who takes a lot of damage on the point and does need the help, and Romeo eventually is now going to commit the ultimate as well. The Am Matrix comes out to play, Alvarez in a bit of trouble here, desperately getting out of the way of the Am Matrix and straight into some Sigma orbs. Alright, so it looks like Unewhaven has finally cracked the point open. The stagger pick on KFC Nuggies looks inevitable as well, unless some help arrives soon, which it does. Now both teams have a lot of ultimates in tow, but I don't think they're able to touch your user. They finally get to get the point game.
I mean, you gotta give it up to the window, and more importantly, your tanks who gave you that space and were able to kind of early get those picks. Logo is just being able to, I think, overstay their welcome as a Sigma, and they're doing an absolute phenomenal job of just getting this much value with the rocks. Reddit wasn't really able to kind of kill anyone, and with this early push, Megalodon is looking to kind of force them down, maybe get a pick. So it's a good combination, but it's kind of in the reverse.
Okay, they use the dragons to force positioning into the flux, which is very interesting. I like that a lot, actually. But it doesn't pay off as they were not able to bait out the immortality field before that. While they were in the air, though, Loki was able to get a kill as well, too, now, before eating a rock to the face. Now, Bob on the field to play as well, just going to take away a lot of attention. And something you don't see very often, the Zenyatta healing orb and Bab healing nade straight onto the Bob. They invested resources into the Bob, and the Bob has paid them back big time.
I gotta say, that is something we don't often see. Bob is very much as more of like a distraction or just a poke type of hero. He's no longer kind of that overpowered mess to where you can just throw him out and then
Nano that man, user. Nano your bombs.
I definitely have to agree, especially for those pokes and when you lose out a tank. But Varsity, they are struggling to win out these fights, and their ult combinations are a bit less to be desired. Though this early window kind of opened things up.
I love FTB's positioning here as well as the distraction there just into buying Megalodon. Oh no, it does not really work out, although it looked very cool the way they were split. Megalodon getting 2 here kind of mitigates any distraction value that FTB was able to create, and now Unewhaven running the point forward. I don't think Forefront are going to be able to touch 4 minutes now to try to finish this off. Remember, Forefront at a 1:59 time bank. Unewhaven might struggle to beat it, but definitely have an opportunity to match it.
Hey, looking nice. I definitely like to see what I like to see. More than anything, it was just that early push and kind of ultimate usage that really helped them out. The window has been very much a succeeding factor. Their focus fire is sometimes very good, but it's only going to get harder as they move forward, especially with this Gravitic Flux catching up their Sigma. If one goes down, they're going to struggle to kind of keep up their pace.
Alright, it's a Dragon traded for a Flux, and no picks coming out until Rack goes down here. That immortality field so crucial in keeping Forefront alive. He's getting so much work done. Now Flux coming out from Mogu as well. Bait that immortality field done, and your tanks are in trouble. The Transcendence is coming out from Halen as well. Absolute chaos on the point. Reddit lets the Dragons rip, and the hands are up from Mogu, but I don't think that's going to do much against Spiritual Dragons, as now that tank line is going to crumble. Forefront Esports are going to gain some control, and the way you have to enter the point for this fight here, the sightlines do not lend well to the attacking team. Forefront did a very good job choosing the time they did with that engagement, and winning the fight here means that Unewhaven are going to have to expend a lot of resources, even just to enter the arena.
This scenario for me is looking extremely familiar to back in the inaugural season of London Spitfire versus Philadelphia Fusions, and just the fact that how hard it is for this double shield to kind of break through in the 3rd point against a countering double shield. Because the defensive
against the Hanzo too, if you want to call back to that series.
Yeah, the Hanzo's going to be winning out these fights more often than not, but more than that, your Widowmaker's getting a lot less value. Except for that!
Widowmaker value! The Massacre strikes again! Rack and Loki now rip this point open. Unewhaven now on the winning stretch. One more fight and we get to bring this home. The Discord Orb headshot combo is unequal here as Loki and Uni. Listen, you are a lovely caster, but you are not about the caster curse.
You know,
Widowmaker value, my goodness.
I create the content on here, and I refuse to be put on as a meme. But look at this, they are not stopping the fight. They want to kind of end this before it even starts.
Yeah, no, they're racking the pressure up here, and Loki with a Saita means that Forefront can't really poke here, and can't really peek around the corner to pressure the tank line of Unewhaven. They need to push things forward. Now that Sigma on the high ground as well already. Solo Loki moves to challenge, eats a rock to the face, and now Matsuo is shooting with the Tracer and a Scorn Halo, the new one. Loki is going to go down as well, and it looks like against all odds, Forefront might be able to hold on to this Unewhaven. Now all of a sudden switching things back to their point. Such chaotic fights. 2-on-2 on the point. Eventually Mogu does go down just the Hanzo. Can a miracle pop up? No, it cannot. Forefront somehow managed to hold on to this, and with less than a minute left now and Respawn still coming through, it is last fight territory for this map.
It very much is, and especially with less than a minute, they need to get as much time as possible. They're not really being able to use their ult as effectively, and they're very much taking these early kind of engagements, but not at the right zone. Though that rock was absolutely predicted.
Oh my goodness.
It was
Forefront went
dirty.
down to sub 20 health there. That pick there would have been GG, so I'm glad they did not go down. They're still posturing for this fight here, trying to battle for this high ground positioning, but the Tracer and Sigma combination is too much for Megalodon to deal with. A great flex from very high altitude is going to come out. Do they ban out the Mortality Field? It doesn't matter because that Baptiste is dead. 15 seconds remaining. Forefront look in the driver's seat, very much in control. That's basically a team kill coming out. Megalodon is switching over onto that Doomfist to stall. I don't know if that's going to do anything. Mogu now. Oh no! Gets stuck. Oh, yeah. Oh, that absolutely brutal user. They trickle into trying to touch, but don't even trigger OT. Forefront now, a fantastic display. I mean, listen, they did have to push it all the way to point C, but they looked pretty clean there. They looked in the driver's seat, and when it didn't, when it looked like they were struggling just a little bit, the DPS individual pop-offs were there. Forefront have the individual talent to make those really sticky situations turn them in their favor, and all of a sudden, I mean, I don't want to cast a curse to anybody. That's your specialty, user. But this is, technically speaking, statistically speaking, the beginning steps of a reverse sweep.
Oh, I'll go rub my eyes, almost a tear down, because I was right. That caster curse didn't even matter, because I still got it right when I said that this is where they were slowly going to be bringing themselves back. And I definitely have to agree. That's what we saw. I don't know what came out of Varsity to not really, I think they struggle a lot when trying to go up against competition that primarily use different sight lines to be able to shut you down. They weren't able to kind of split. It was almost like their eyes were going the opposite ways, and they're trying to find someone to focus more often than not. And that's absolutely beautiful. Now, Forefront Esports, they have identified a big weakness. They now know if, as long as they play competitions and they take these kind of offset angles, I think that's more often than not what we saw, especially when we saw the DPSs trying to take each other on a fight, like Megalodon and Loki. We're often kind of in those same spots at times, and that's a very big issue, kind of moving in, while Reddit and Mosquito were never kind of together. More often than not, one's on low, one's on high, one's always trying to be kind of a rude person, as I'd like to say.
Yeah, and like you said, it's very interesting to see that Forefront do well playing the split sightline comps, because this is the same team that couldn't make the Ball and Hog work out in their favor, or the Ball Sigma. So on paper, those are very similar theories and win conditions, right? Get your surrounds, get your angles down, but I think just the double shield way, you are playing split, but you are closer than a Ball Sigma. It's a little less deathmatchy, and on top of that, you have to coordinate pulls, but don't have to coordinate dives. And I think Forefront, hopefully, for the viewing audience at home, have cracked the code here and have found out that, okay, the double barrier works against Unewhaven, let's stick with this. And on the part of Unewhaven, now that we have the next map being announced as some time on Anubis, we're headed to Egypt very soon. They might want to revert back to the brawl. I mean, I don't know what they have in mind here, what the coaches have in mind, but that could be the play, because that's kind of when they've looked their most dominant, if you think back to Eichenwald.
Temple of Anubis is an anomaly for both of these teams. Not only is this very famous for just spamming map, but it's 2CP. So I feel this is the most balanced kind of strategy for both of these teams to try to go up against each other. Forefront Esports, they struggle against going up against Varsity when Varsity is being able to focus you down. You're going through one sight line. You are going to be shot down if you are not taking quick rotations, especially if you're playing a Wrecking Ball or if you're going with that double shield. It can be a furthering issue, while Forefront can still take those angles and have those opportunities and kind of coordinate dives if they choose to play that kind of composition, which Varsity have very much struggled to kind of beat against. I definitely think this goes down to how both teams take their engagements. Varsity, they just need to focus more than one target at a time, more often than not. It's perfectly fine to have good target focus. I definitely recommend it. You look amazing, but they're going to be able to shut you down every single time if you're trying to kill one person and they're not dying immediately, and then someone like Reddit's inside your backline, it's going to shoot you in the head and take you out before anything.
Yeah, and I think a key there will be the team's ability to handle spam. And like you said, we saw these teams struggle with shield management a little bit, especially coming into maps 1 and 2. So will be very exciting to see if they have ironed out those issues as just a short... Okay, looks like we're going in very soon, so some Anubis coming out. Forefront Esports 1, Unewhaven 2. Unewhaven had a very good start. Forefront now clapping back, so Anubis is going to be a very key map here. Unewhaven, of course, a match point here. A win here puts them into the semifinals of our playoff stage and will knock Forefront down a notch into the losers bracket. But a win here for Forefront sets up a reverse sweep map 5 tiebreaker. User, it is a good day to be a commentator.
I definitely have to agree. We're not really in an area to where we feel unconfident with these with Forefront anymore. We're definitely getting a lot more confidence coming out of them. Their energy has just absolutely switched up, and they are not prepared to kind of lose this. And I'm so proud. Forefront Esports, at me on Twitter. I'm supporting you right now. Okay, I believe in the reverse sweep, especially because Temple of Anubis could be one of those maps. It's 2CP, meaning that anybody, and I mean anybody, can win 2CP, no matter if you're a weaker team, no matter if you're a stronger team, as long as you are more paying attention to how you are going to kind of take this focus fire. It does seem that this is going to be a double bubble from Varsity versus just pure dive. It's all about how Reddit's going to be able to counterplay against Romeo and Halen, and how Varsity use their resource management to their advantage. Double bubbles in a completely hard competition to pull off perfectly, but you don't need to pull it off perfectly. Just got to pull it off better than how they can do their job.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of double bubble on attack. I do have a soft spot for it, and if anything, I try to force it too often in my own comp games, but that being said, it looks like Unewhaven just struggling to get through the choke for the time being, taking a lot of spam damage as we see at Reddit already. A third of their way to that barrage. Finally be able to rotate left here, and the key win condition here is to get Romeo's Nano Boost online as soon as possible, and that's already almost halfway there. That bubble is going to be used just to secure positioning instead of using it to dive, which is very interesting. And the timing of that is going to be tough, because as soon as your bubble timing is a little off what you expected, that double bubble then really struggles to get back into gear. It's a very timing heavy composition, but looks like they're not playing for bubbles. Looks like they're playing for the Nano Boost, and it is online. Does it go out onto that monkey? Yes, it does. Straight into the backline. Oh my goodness, that's some deleting of the backline. Beast is straight out there, but both teams have now scraped out their Anas, as well as the one from Mosquito is gone, as well as the defensive team in a little bit of trouble here. And Rack, after using that Nano Boost, now so close to a Primal Ray, does well, they can survive this assault from the D, but FTB gets up there, fuels for the backline, is able to keep everybody alive for the time being, and now it's just Moku as a solo tanker, but now the grab is online as well. And the personal bubble does not go off in time or gets first down. Reddit now trades out for that elimination as well. Great kill on the break to make sure Romeo stays alive there, as Halen makes sure Nuggies is not getting run right on the back line. And Nuggies in a bit of trouble, gets slugged through Primal, gets woken up, gets stunned, gets purpled. Oh my goodness, that is a main tank experience full user. Now Reddit getting the kill onto Romeo means that we're not going to get to build more progress onto that Nano Boost, but I don't know if that's going to matter, because look at how many check marks are online.
It's almost made a big mistake. Forgot I muted my mic for a second just to like kind of breathe. I was reacting now massively. Though this rally's going to give them a lot of sustain. They're ready to take the early fight. They just want to shut down anyone as possible, but losing out that brig, it hurts.
Yeah, especially right after you hit that primal, but that's going to be really tough. And now it looks like, oh no, they're just all hanging out around this sleeping monkey. Then the grab's going to come in as well. That Zarya is glowing like a highlighter. That means it's high charge. 2 picks for the Zarya. And now Megalodon getting the kill on the Nuggies as well. Unewhaven are looking on the up and up. 2 ticks secured. Can anybody else touch and stall this out? Mosquito is the only one that's remotely close to the point, but now retreating further and further back. Mosquito, you're just staggering yourself, boy. And now do go down 4 minutes and 10 seconds on this attack from point B. Very healthy indeed, but we all know the stall potential of Anubis when we come down to point B. User.
Yeah, I think I was wrong. The biggest weakness when it comes to 2CP is just throwing out every ultimate that you have in your pocket and then rebuilding it for the next fight. They are going to be taking a lot of poke, and well, Reddit's going to shut them down before I can even continue talking. But that's a good way to kind of slow down this push. The Varsity used a lot of ultimates, meaning that they are looking to save up for that ult combo, maybe a pulse grab, maybe that copy. A lot of things can work into their favor. But as long as Forefront kind of switch things up, if Mosquito goes in early, uses that pulse bomb before they're even able to take that engagement and kill that Brig, kill Romeo, somebody, you're going to be able to win every fight. It's just all about kind of that confidence in yourself to be able to do so.
Yeah, now we see these 2 teams relatively even on ultimates, and like you said, 2CP is really about building that bank and then shading that bank properly. I'm not quite sure. Maybe, if anything, Unewhaven might go for a dry push here. Now, Loki on the left flank is going to commit the nano boost, and that Pharah is in trouble. Almost gets bursted down, but the picks are going the other way instead. Megalodon with 2 now. It's now just a man advantage on the side of Unewhaven, but I don't know if that's going to be enough with 2CP because the stall potential is just so absolutely massive. That Diva is now so low, but Megalodon is going to get absolutely trampled by Nuggies on the Winston with the Primal. Now you're going to invest in Edward, not any, no takes on the, that's going to be pretty tough, but now 4 more ultimates coming online. Halen's not far away from the rally as well. Forefront are to protect for defense.
Very much a monkey moment. Nuggies, which is able to boop everyone around Varsity, weren't able to kind of play together. They were looking so uncomfortable. Though they managed to build up these ults, they are going to be getting hit with this barrage, which has continuous to be their biggest weakness, just as this moment. That bubble's the only thing that saved them. They are looking for that early pick. The nano also misses, I think, for a tiny bit, but we'll have to see how this fight takes place.
Alright, Rack is going to commit this ultimate. KFC is going to get bursted down, so a main tank advantage being established on point. Reddit now hiding here. The barrage is going to come. Is there anything to mitigate it? Not really. The bubbles don't really arrive on time. Mogu gets a double while we're at it, so that might have been enough. The barrage might not have stopped the attack. And Reddit does go down as well. The pulse bomb connects, but not in time. Ali goes down to a bomb as well. Nuggies the kill onto Wreck. Absolute chaos. Peace and Megalodon with the kill of Peace as well. Mo gets bursted down, going down with the graph. That graph never came out, and neither did the rally. I'm surprised Unewhaven did not go for a more out-and-out commitment onto that fight.
I definitely have to agree, but respawns matter, and I think they recognize that they lost that. Now they're going to be losing this fight, already picked 2 out, and I think that's further the issue that's moving out. Now they have Graviton Surge, which is by far one of the best combo abilities in the game, but they have nothing to combo with besides just throwing yourself into it like you're scuba diving or something. So now it becomes
graph primary combo, primary fire combo is gonna be okay.
It becomes a fight of FTP versus Mogu and how they're taking. They also need cleaner engagements if they want to be able to win this early, because losing out your Echo, that hurts.
Oh, that's absolutely enormous. Monkey see, monkey do, monkey primal all over you. Halen now with the rally up, but Unewhaven are now stuck in this very, very awkward position. Not only are they not all indoors, they're just so ready to eat cleave damage, but that grab comes to a clutch moment from Mogu. But all for Reddit here, very sneaky, is able to take down Loki. Cassidy did not have that flashback on cooldown. Is going to get slept out of it, but is going to get out of it alive as well. And now might be into stall mode as Megalodon gets a double kill. Mosquito taking out Romeo means that a lot of burst healing is no longer going to be available. Now Halen on the break is under a lot of pressure as well. The support line of Unewhaven, I'm in a bit of trouble here, but eventually Halen is going to win out and take that Tracer out. That break is now all of a sudden looking very safe. And, oh, great whip shot to deny the resurrection as well. Don't ever tell me break does not need mechanics. And great work from Unewhaven. Listen, with 4 minutes to finish it in OT, that's the classic 2CP experience.
Listen, all right, I'll be real with you. So a while back ago, GitGud released the video with a coach named Diwadi. Diwadi is a coach within the Tier 2 scene, Tier 3 a little bit, got to help with Shoe Money Crew and other places, and I got to talk to him for a bit, definitely a good friend of mine, and he's working on a video right now about how Brig is very complex and how Brig is one of the most misunderstood characters. And I think that's a beautiful moment that he would have said. Perfect example. Not only is positioning matter a lot to how you play Brig, but those whip shots. If you miss a whip shot, you are not playing Brig right. Missing one basically means you're missing a lot of long-term value to be able to build up that passive heal. And as we saw, denying that res, which theoretically could have saved that fight. I can't say 100% sure because, you know, I'm not like Elon Musk. I'm not sitting here looking at problematics. I'm looking at the facts here, and the fact is they capped 2 points, no time. Forefront Esports, if they get the same, both teams get around a minute or so, meaning Forefront Esports, they want to catch with time, force this into a draw scenario. Do not go down with this loss. All you need to do is cap 2 points, which is easier said than done. And while Mosquito may be running out on this Genji, I can see them running with the Nano Blade. Maybe a over-reliant ability, but it works nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, farming Blade on Anubis, because we saw the famous AKM Blade come alive a few seasons ago. And they're going with a very traditional dive here, no double bubble, so less complex timings, and more, if anything, more opportunities for Peace to charge of the Nano Boost. Alright, so they're going to go in very good engage here just from this beginning, able to lock on that high, and Mosquito is going to go down, cannot deflect a lightning, my friend. And oh no, Rack, I think, messed up their jump there, jumped straight into the doorway and does not escape properly. And so both teams missing one, but of course Forefront with the better spawns and the earlier death, Mosquito is going to be back in the fight now, and they are going to engage with this 6-on-5 in this fight.
They're already taking it early. They finally managed to open themselves up, and Varsity is, leaving their own supports to die. That's not going to be looking good.
Yeah, really good work from Forefront here, carving them open, and Megalodon getting so much damage, but with that attention means space for the rest of your team. But oh no, Rack here is going to pop off all of a sudden. The tank lens trading 2 kills apiece, and Loki now in a bit of can you deny that res? No, you can't, because that Valve movement is too great. Peace now taking so much damage, and that Mercy Pocket is gone, but Peace still managed to stay alive with a nade. Oh my goodness, that's a game of sustain, and that Forefront support line somehow managed to stay alive. And now, after one and a half fights, Forefront are going to be able to lock this attack down. They have an extra minute and 10 seconds to secure point B compared to Unewhaven's attack run, and now they have the Nano Blade online as well. Mosquito just to farm up 3% more, making sure they don't die in the process.
Bit interesting. They allowed their supports to die very early. That means they were going to lose it. They can no longer make these mistakes, especially with the Nano
Alright, here we
trying
go.
to make something happen.
Suns out, Blades out, straight into the backline. That break gets cut down. No shield fast necessary. And now that Nano Cassidy. Oh no, that flashback damage is too much. Mosquito is going to go down, only catching 1 with the Nano, but that's an ability that doesn't bring us to farm, and that does not come out to anything. Unewhaven now on the defense, getting 4 kills. Fantastic work, able to kite that Blade, and despite that break going down early, they're able to cut down the Genji, mitigate all that damage, and answer back with eliminations of their own. Now, they are still at an ultimate deficit. However, the fact that they survived at all, props there to the team coordination there.
They have around over 4 minutes, and it's very hard. 2CP is one of those kind of uphill battles that you will continue to, so I want to see Varsity being more consistent, but that dive, no, Romeo!
Yeah, okay, Romeo is going to get that delay. No supports online. This could be trouble for Unewhaven, and the Deadeye is going to have to get used early as well. Also ready here on the Monkey Hero, going in with the Primal as well. Once again, another Monkey See Monkey Do moment, and they managed to cap with over 4 minutes in the time bank. A great attack from Forefront. They have secured the draw. They have secured themselves a map 5. Now the question is, can they secure themselves a win and bring them that much closer to reverse sweep territory?
You know, if I remember correctly, I don't normally like to do this, but I like to say I told you so. You know, I told you, Forefront Esports are not done. I don't understand what they were doing on those first two maps that made them kind of slow mess up and kind of make a lot of bad decisions, but they are done trolling us. They are now happy to bring us a kind of true game series that I'm pretty sure the viewers are absolutely astonished for. They have been putting things up. The DPS Mosquitoes and Reddit have been playing phenomenal. We're seeing the support line. They're not dying as often, and it's almost as if these teams have swapped sides. It's almost like they decided to go on each other's monitors because the mistakes that Varsity are making now were the ones that Forefront Esports were making before. Now they have to try to hold with over 3 minutes. They failed to do that on second point, which is debatably easier to hold on. And I have a lot of worry to see how this goes, but either way, these teams, they've got to give it their all if they want any chance, especially in the map 5 scenario. That's a control map.
Yeah, Forefront here are just going to repeat the comp, and if you're them, you're just going to, I mean, theoretically, just farm up this Nano Blade, hopefully get that, all the other ults online as well. You have 4 minutes to farm up 6 ultimates, if that's truly how you want to attack. A Mosquito is going to go down early, meaning Forefront, I mean, if they're going to win this point, it's not going to be here, but, oh, that Echo is so low, but KSC Nuggies decided to try to get out, and it all comes down to not. Forefront here, despite putting themselves up for a very achievable win condition, not the best and brightest start they could have hoped.
They have the great, very, very eager push. I think they didn't really kind of check their angles or what they were worrying on. I think they kind of assumed it was just that double bubble once again, which is, you know, it's dive, so it's going to be a different way of how you want to push it. But they need to give themselves a second to set up. Their competition will work better once they know who they want to go after.
Alright, Mosquito has switched over onto the Ashe as well, abandoning the Nano Blade plan, and Rack being going down here is going to be absolutely brutal for Unewhaven because they don't have a mercy here for the res. Peace is going to get knocked down by Mogu though, so that could be a way in for Unewhaven. Pulse Bomb is going to be committed as well, but that blue lights up the feed. Forefront here are not taking any prisoners. Romeo and Halen are down now, so no support on the side of Unewhaven. Forefront now looking like it's a foregone conclusion now. Just stalled out for Unewhaven. I don't know if there's anything else they can do. They nano Nuggies as well. That's going to be absolutely brutal, and the ball will be deleted promptly. The duper hit is going to come in on the Monkey. Can the problem be farmed? Yes, it can, but at this point, it might as well just be free ult charge for Forefront. As, yep, Romeo is going to go down yet again. The Diva Mom comes out and amounts to close to nothing, and they finally secure that tick they need. They needed 1 to get the win, and they do. Forefront Esports 2, Unewhaven 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we are headed to a map 5.
I told you so. Forefront Esports aren't going home. That was absolutely beautiful. They took what I said to heart. Immediately they shut down that Monkey. They knew who they wanted to focus down, and they slowly steamrolled about it. So, you know, as our cameras come back, I've grabbed a slice of cake for them. I've got 2 slices. One's for me, one's for you, Forefront Esports. It's a date because you've been looking very cute today, you know? I gotta say. And I'm not gonna take a bite of it because I'm broadcasting right now, but that was a setup I've been preparing just for this day. Either way, yeah, it's a map 5 scenario. I don't think coming out of Icon, we both truly expected that. I think we both saw kind of Forefront Esports very much going downhill after Lijiang Tower. They were very much kind of lacking on a lot of departments, but they somehow have swapped it up while Varsity are sort of stagnating. And I gotta say, this is the fight that I've been looking for. A team with 5 and 3 who at least from prediction wise, they're not going to be looking as good. In playoffs, they've both been doing as well, 3 and 1, and maybe it's just that comeback potential that both of them have to be able to kind of bring it here. And I've never been this excited to see the possibility of maybe even a further map. Who's going to bring it closer?
Yeah, and Forefront, like you said, are on an upward trajectory, and Unewhaven are kind of slowing down a little bit. We see that energy, that momentum coming even now. But the great equalizer in Overwatch is that map 5, right? We've casted and watched enough Overwatch to know that once you get to the map 5, all that momentum gets thrown out the window. The form book gets forgotten, and both the teams bring everything they've got. I cannot wait to get started, and the sooner we cut to break, the sooner we can get started. So, stick around. We'll be right back.
Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah.
Guys, gals, my non-binary pals, we here at Elo Hell Esports have a heck of a series here. Forefront Esports and Unewhaven locked in 2-2. We're headed to a tiebreaker map 5 now. User, we really didn't expect this to come along. We have Unewhaven starting so dominantly, but Forefront clawing their way back, and then eventually on the last step we saw a fantastic speedrun of Dranubis. So anything could happen now. I really have no idea where this is going to go.
I'm gonna keep bobbing my head. I'm gonna keep partying because there's music to my ears seeing map 5 out of this. Alright? I'm absolutely kind of flabbergasted of just the kind of quick switch that Forefront Esports were able to bring it up and talking about it all game, because it's absolutely beautiful, especially when they were running a lot more questionable things. I'm wondering if they chose to just like kind of lose those first 2 maps and slowly start bringing it back just to be able to prove that they are a better team. Like, that's an ego play I definitely could see happening. I haven't seen a team do it, so hey, first come first serve. But either way, they need to bring it now into control. They lost their first control map, and that sometimes can mean a lot. So when going in and we're able to kind of look to see first 2, boom, reverse sweep, it's now going to be Ilios, the first map that we kind of thought we were going to go on, but then we were wrong. This could mean the end of Forefront's reverse sweep if they don't bring in that momentum and kind of game-changing attitude that they have for both Junker and Anubis. I definitely think they have that in them, because I don't think Control is about who's the better team. I just think it's about who was warmed up at first. By the end of the map, sometimes that first team isn't going to be able to win it out, but it's always still a flip of the coin for some reason.
I mean, this has been an absolute slog of a series for both these teams, making very minimal substitutions. So, listen, you talked about being warm and being ready to play, and that's absolutely fair, but I have another concern. Fatigue. User, I mean, unless like that G Fuel is really kicking in right now, you could just be getting a little slower, a little tired, because this is 5 maps of all-out, full sprint, all beams Overwatch.
You ever snorted G Fuel before?
Cannot say that is something I have attempted.
Yeah, you gotta do it with the XQC brand. That's when you truly feel like you're a part of the jungle. That's what I'd like to say. So, we're moving out, and we're going on to Well first. I think this is, I'm pretty sure this is either Well or Lighthouse. I didn't get a good view of it. Either way, this is going to be the first and best point to be able to see. They are rocking kind of Shadow Dive versus Pure Dive, and it's all about if Varsity can play as a team. And yes, being on Well, that means their composition is going to work a lot better because it's easier to take rotations. It's easier to block out sites. Even with this curious side of where they want to go, they definitely have an advantage. Just watch out for Reddit stickies.
Yeah, Unewhaven here, like you said, are going to play a lot closer together than the Forefront are, given they're playing the Monkey Brawl composition that we saw briefly earlier this season in the pro scene. And oh my goodness, great rotation on the piece, great, no movement abilities used either. And okay, interesting. User, you're the color. I will let you analyze this.
All right. So here's my analysis. Forefront just reset on purpose. I think that entirety, I think the moment that they lost one, or they saw what was happening, they said to themselves, we are not going to win this. Let's switch up our comp. Let's run something that can kind of counter this out.
Switch.
And look
Comp
at that.
switch. Comp
Pure roll. They are now going to be able to put pressure onto the Sombra, especially with that shield and that D.Va. It's just how is Varsity going to be able to adapt against it?
Oh, Great Wall is going to come out. That Monkey has nowhere to go. Rack is going to do the first one down here. And FTP, no main tank to come against, is now allowed to swing into this tiny little room. That Mora is in trouble as well, forcing to use the Fade here. We were to barely get into trouble here. And FTP now happy to lead their team forward. Mosquito checking the flank here, and a great flashbang. I mean, this is a great counterplay. Mosquito eventually does go for a bit of a swim, but this is a great counter pick to make sure you pick all the right heroes to counter the comp of Unewhaven.
It's really hard to kind of dive in, especially without your Monkey starting in. And while they are staggering themselves to be able to get that point a little farther, they're going to be sacrificing their own time to kind of regroup as a team. Forefront Esports, they're going to be looking strong no matter how much they kind of start losing one by one. Their entire comp is as long as they have the Reinhardt, and that Reinhardt is basically throwing their hammer down like a Torbjorn wanting to get that 1k, they're going to be looking very strong continuing forward. I really want to be seeing Varsity play more aggressive, jump on them, get those hacks in, shut them down.
Well, yeah, I think the hacks are absolutely the win condition here, and the one on the FTP here is going to miss. They engage with a vanilla no hack, and the Diva Bomb is going to come out as well, forcing the perfect round. A great shatter is going to come out. Oh, but the pin misses, just hits the wall. Both teams committing so many ultimates into this fight, as Mosquito now being pressured out. Great flick of the mouse to take down Loki as well. The Deadeye is now online, and it looks like the point is going to be under Forefront control for the time being.
No! Varsity threw every ult they had kind of against Forefront Esports, but they didn't know why they were doing it. I felt like they threw their ultimates as an engager and never truly had that moment to engage, especially against that bomb shatter. It was a very uncomfortable setting. Though with the CMP, may change things up, but Mosquito's already hiding, waiting to use that high noon.
Oh, and the only hits at the tank line, but the hack is there to cancel the Deadeye as well. So what looked like a not so stellar EMP had fantastic reactions, and they managed to cleave them open. Unewhaven are going to flip this back as the ticker reaches 90. So this is last fight territory for them, but they now have control and are able to set up this hack much more easily for Loki.
Loki. I don't know where you got your brain from, but that was a phenomenal way to bring that back. Once the high noon was set, that could have ended the fight immediately. Forefronts were trying to play against it, but they underestimated how fast that high noon build. Though they are down on ult economy, and Forefront are ready to just push forward. Even losing their Mei, they're not going to care.
Oh yeah, they're not at all, because they're going to push and take a Megalodon, so both teams missing their DPS player, and FTB is going to land a great shatter onto Rack, who gets that primal deleted. That's absolutely brutal. And that Lucio is there doing their best, Halen, to try to harass the team, but Forefront now able to muscle their way onto the point out. They have a Deadeye again, and this time hopefully not going to get hacked out of it.
This high noon, they're trying to cancel it out, but Varsity aren't really playing their kind of hack up to the hack ability.
Yep, the sound barrier is not committed as well. Mosquito doesn't get it, but it's not going to be a problem. KFC now, look at the self-destructive taking two. Forefront now have all the advantage in the world. Megalodon is going to get pinned up against the wall as well. We are reaching overtime. Both teams so close to flipping this over, but Forefront still have 6 players on the point, and Unewhaven are now trickling in, desperately trying to stall. Just the baby diva getting deleted as well. Can Loki on the Sombra touch? Not quite. So 10% less, and oh no, Loki goes down. That EMP could have been the win condition, but all of a sudden now Unewhaven are going to have to come in a very, very awkward and unenviable situation. And eventually the monkey is able to touch, is going to get frozen up, going to get harassed from all these different situations, and Peace with now the Amp Matrix completely uncontested in the back, just free-firing, raining the damage and healing it. Eventually the EMP does come out, catching all 6! Big EMP, no follow-up unfortunately, because your whole team is stuck in spawn. Loki eventually is going to get cut down because you are at 1 health, my friend. Can anybody else keep the stall alive? No, they cannot. 199 using this as close as you can ask a control point to go.
Man, I gotta say, excellent use of how Forefront weren't really relying on their ultimates, rather their own team strategy and that brawl composition to be able to shut them down. Varsity really struggled to play their own comp correctly at times. Shadow Dive very much is a brawl sense of composition, and when you're going up against that brawl v brawl in kind of like the mental scenario, you very much need to kind of look for those hacks. You kind of need to be able to shut them down more often than not, and they didn't really get that opportunity. So Forefront were able to get more of an advantage. Now being on Lighthouse, I think this is where they're going to be looking a lot better, especially with Loki's hacks. But you need to be building up that EMP much faster. EMPs are building up way too slow when they could be saving these team fights midway through.
Alright, so both teams are opting for the Monkey Diva Dive. Romeo and Peace are going to be fighting each other on the Ana again as well, and it's going to be a contest of who can get that nano farmed up, and like you said, can Loki get those EMPs up earlier than they have been so far this series?
Already this dive is getting set up. And it seems Varsity are really struggling. They want to try to put pressure on the point, look for a hack, but they are not finding kind of isolating and really dominant ones.
Yeah, Loki is going to get forced down here, but Ali, she's going to end up being the first one down here, as now the backline of Forefront is just going to crumble here, as just that much so close to a capture percentage. Romeo just free firing from this high ground as well. And a big difference here between Peace and Romeo is not just in ult charges in the support structure. Halen and Ali are on different main supports, and that Brig is playing like a personal bodyguard to keep Romeo alive.
And they did an excellent job bringing that back. It was almost a little bit scary. So seeing now the Brig come in means that they're not going to be able to kind of help out Reddit more. So Reddit's going to have a harder time playing this game. And with Romeo having this nano throwing out that anti and missing out, they're going to have a good engagement.
Yep, Nano Boost online, Rack going straight for that Ana. Of course, Peace is going to get absolutely deleted, and it doesn't look like Unewhaven are going to be troubled for now. The D-Mech does come through, sorry, not a D-Mech, the Diva kill comes through mid self-destruct, but I don't think that's going to be enough, and that Tracer eventually is just going to, I mean, at that point, why shoot at the Vincent? You're just helping Romeo charge out more of that Nano Boost. Unewhaven are in the driver's seat for the time being. They look very clean.
We've had around like 3 solid fights, roughly, and we have barely been over 30%. These teams are going all at each other. And I think this is the moment where they're finally kind of recognizing both of their win conditions, trying to take them as much as possible. But Loki wants to take that Tracer 1v1, which has set them up to be able to control this point a lot longer. Forefront aren't going to move in without their Tracer. Loki can kind of melt someone down. Though with their Nano and Copy, I can definitely see some type of coordination. They have an ult advantage, but remember, use your ults with a reason, not for no reason.
Yep, and Megalodon is going to let the dupe go onto the Diva, just helping their team buy some space, buy some temper, and Peace is going to get deleted as a great collapse comes out on the Echo on the backline as well. Forefront were very focused on that high ground, and that low ground was completely uncontested, and Unewhaven saw that opportunity and took it. They're now nearing 3/4 towards 100 on this capture percentage with a bunch of ultimates online, but Forefront are going to have a bunch of check marks of their own to work. Alright, Nano Boost is going to come out. Great stick, and Ali with the desperation shield bash, trying to get Loki to pulse bomb themselves as well in the process. It's not going to work out. Now, both Echoes here, Reddit and Megalodon, are getting a kill of Peace. Reddit doubling that tally, actually, as Halen goes down as well. Both teams are missing their main support now, as ultimates are being dumped in and invested. We're reaching OT now, as Unewhaven now committing the ultimate. Rack somehow managed to stay on the map here, grabs the Mega Pack, is going to come back healthy into this fight, and Romeo looking for a nano target is going to let it rip onto Rack, who is now going to get the kill onto Ali, who is playing Respawn Simulator so far this fight. Pretty tough time to be them at the moment. That Tracer on Mosquito is going to get deleted as well, and it's just now full stall, but up against that Tesla cannon of Rack is going to be very, very tough to stay alive. More bodies on the point. It is now a Diva after the Echo, after the Winston, but it's not going to be enough. We tie this map up 1-1. We are headed into a tiebreaker round on the tiebreaker map here in GitGud.
1-1. Ready for battle.
Alright, both teams here putting on a hell of a show. As we see different compositions come out. We saw some traditional dive versus brawl dive, and now coming on we saw some traditional brawl against some traditional dive, and then the dive mirror, and now user welcome back. It looks like once again we're back to basics. Looks like going to be a traditional brawl versus the monkey brawl, unless I'm mistaken.
It's just funny, I keep muting my mic because my mother walks into my room. She's like, what are you doing? I say, Mother, I'm casting one of the best Overwatch games as possible. And she says, okay, I'm letting the dog in your room. Like, what type of stuff is this, Mom? I've got priorities here, especially with this interesting kind of brawl variant going up against this pure dive. The Doom
Genji
is gonna kind
Doom.
of have room.
The Genji Doom pick is not one that I can say I predicted here, and very chaotic by coming in nice and early on as the double main tech of Forefront. They have a lot of staying power. Romeo gets down, but so is Reddit on the Doomfist. So a lot of healing no longer present for Unewhaven, and that Moira is absolutely key to making this brawl competition work, as that Monkey and Diva are going to take so much damage. And Forefront now, not just are going to be able to flip the point, that early contra Romeo is going to deny an early coalescence, because in this composition, that Romeo on the Moira is going to get coal every fight. So that early pick from Mosquito on the Genji is going to be absolutely massive.
It was just a very unfortunate composition to be going up against. Taking out Reddit absolutely was phenomenal, but the issue was the fact that they split up. One was trying to take out Nuggies, one was trying to take out FTP, but being on the Brawl may help them out a little more, as long as they bait in the Doomfist and punish him every time. But,
oh my goodness, enormous
that?
shatter, catches 4, and the eliminations follow through as well. Great work from Forefront. I mean, that's why you pay big bucks for the big tech players. FTB letting the hammer rip, and that poor Diva is going to get staggered to no end. One ultimate invested for a whole bunch of outcharge for the rest of your team. Phenomenal work from Forefront Esports to make that work, and Rack just was unable to block that. I think Unewhaven probably did not expect FTB to have shatter after a single fight.
I mean, it worked. Especially because, you know, sometimes you don't expect it, but that's all because you're not measuring, but they're already taking the fight!
Alright, the Coalescence Blade is going to come out, and that's a zoning blade if I've ever seen one, but it works out. The Coalescence gets just 2. Reddit used that space to take down Loki as well. Forefront Esports look absolutely dominant on this tiebreaker map. Mosquito pulling up a very cute little double dash here to finish off Halen and making sure he himself does not fall off the map. We're closing in on last fight territory. Unewhaven have not been able to get a look in.
Varsity have made so many swaps throughout this entire map. This is now last fight territory. They need to make something, but they are at an whole economy disadvantage!
Oh! FTP with the double pin, that is absolutely phenomenal. Now Peace gets the kill as well. This is looking so tough for Unewhaven. Unewhaven, you know, we're here on a map 5, but we might go out with a win here. Forefront have looked so good so far this round. That Diva Bomb comes through, the self-destruct just to stall, unable to get the remix, and the punch goes on onto, oh no, another shatter comes down onto the ball this time. Absolutely brutal. That ball doing their best to stall is not going to be amount too much now. Anybody else touch? Yes, Loki rolls in just in time to get deleted, and Forefront now, after a pretty rough start, clapping back so hard, the reverse sweep is complete. Forefront win 3-2 against Unewhaven and move on to the semifinal. What a series, user.
My goodness.
Play of the game.
I'm so flabbergasted, the Cassidy has come into me. Definitely gotta be real with you on that. My goodness, I am gone. Either way, I am absolutely amazed by Forefront Esports' ability to bring this back, continuously moving forward. Varsity's mentals must have been struggling or so, because we didn't see them really work as strong as before, and as I kind of need to quickly fix my thing, don't worry about it. I'm hoping to see them have a lot more things in the future. It's not the end for them. They are going down to the losers bracket, but it's still very upsetting to see them kind of just slowly move off momentum when they had a very strong start and they were looking very good. I think they, especially on Iconvolt, that's what's one of their best maps, and where Forefront looked their weakest. I remember us talking kind of in between the breaks, and I didn't say it was a dominant win. I said it was a throwing win, where it felt like Forefront Esports were kind of more or less throwing when they came into that map. And while it may be harsh, it was just my honest feeling, and either way, I was still voting for them to win, and they brought it back.
Yeah, Forefront, you could tell, even when they weren't doing so well, had a lot of potential and had the individual players and the mechanics to bring it back. And eventually they did. And what we saw here was Unewhaven rallying for rounds 1 and 2. But when it got to round 3, Forefront came out with the Genji Doomfist, and it was over. I personally have never played against a Genji Doomfist brawl competition either. And so I'm not surprised that Unewhaven did not know what to do with it. And Forefront, a high risk, high reward, play the silly comms and get the good results. They complete the reverse sweep. So like I said, they are now moving on to the semifinal. We're going to cut to a quick break, but stick around, because after this absolutely thrilling series, I need some water and a bathroom break, but we will be bringing you more playoff action from the GitGud tournament, now coming to the expert division. Stick around.
love to watch the way you made me into a mess. Hands on my dress, neon red. You were everything I didn't need until you left. Now I'm dancing around my living room. I get drunk on the thought of you and I, when you were mine. See your eyes in every stranger. I replay the way that we were till I'm high. No, it's not right. I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. I miss you kissing me like you used to, like only you do. You know the good things are never as good as the bad, and your love is better than anything I've ever had. Oh, I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. I know you're gone, and you probably just forgot me, yeah, you're moving on. But I can't let go, 'cause I'm still sleeping with the moments, lying with your ghost. Now I'm dancing around my living room. I get drunk on the thought of you and you're not mine. But I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. I miss you kissing me like you used to, like only you do. You know the good things are never as good as the bad, and your love is better than anything I've ever had. Oh, I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. Heart overhead, and I guess I love to watch the way you made me into a mess. I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. I miss you kissing me like you used to, like only you do. You know the good things are never as good as the bad, and your love is better than anything I've ever had. Oh, I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. You know the good things are never as good as the bad, and your love is better than anything I've ever had. Oh, I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. When we were 15, I remember car rides, small fights, conversations all night. I never saw you as anything more than a friend, but now I see you in a new light. We're getting older, there's a sparkle in your eyes that wasn't there before. You give me butterflies, it makes me wonder if there could be something more. We were only kids when we first met. Now let's discover what we haven't yet. I don't wanna wonder what could have been. So baby, take my hand and let my love in. Let my love in. When we were 15, I remember car rides, small There you go again, looking so handsome. Oh, you have your way, and it's making me weaken. You and your stardust, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight this. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. How I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind. You and your magic, like infinite power. God knows I try to resist, but you're pulling me closer. Oh, I gotta stay away, but you won't let me. No one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. exactly what to do to blow my mind. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. This bed is out of space, just keep painting constellations. You cover me in glitter till I'm shining bright. I never wanna leave the sky. The way you made me feel alive. I was in the dark and baby, you're the light. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Couldn't fight if I wanted. Flying to places that I never thought I could go. You're a meteor shower, falling down all over me. Yeah, you're making me glow. Couldn't fight if I wanted. Flying to places that I never thought I could go. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Yeah, got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got
Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been. my charm. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my charm. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before.
Hello and welcome back to Get Good, presented by Elo Sports. Now, we just got off a cracker of a 5-mapper series to decide a winner in the intermediate division, but now User and I have an even higher tier game for you. In our expert tier, our 3900 plus no SR limits tier, we have a semifinal showdown between league leaders Phoenix Rebirth and third seed Icarus. Now, Phoenix Rebirth have been 10-0 so far this season, User completely undefeated, and Icarus looking pretty strong. They're the third seed. However, flag on the play, they are bringing in 2 substitutes today, 2 ringers, as I believe there are some availability issues for Icarus tonight.
Yeah, that could be a further issue as we go down the line. Sometimes ringers can make or break how a team synergy truly works. We are going to be seeing the rosters kind of work, and this is the moment where you can see kind of a difference. If you're more familiar with either Icarus or Phoenix Rebirth, obviously, I do have a bit of a gripe to pick with Icarus, as they have continuously been able to fight against the wall, especially defeating Chimp Club yesterday, which was a team that has been bothering me to cast their games. So, I was a little was caught off guard. I was like, wait, they lost? And then Icarus. So I definitely expect them, even with their kind of 2 fills, I still think they should be able to kind of bring it back into their corner.
Yeah, and speaking of the lineup, first of all, on the side of Phoenix Rebirth to your left, we have Peanuts and Cuddle on the DPS line, Star and Defran on the tank line, and Adore and AT on the support lineup. Something to note here, on their official roster, they don't have any subs listed. So I think it's just a 6 roster. I'm very interested to see if any sort of fatigue or flexibility issues come up. And on the much changed Icarus, take it away, User.
Man, I mean, what is there more to say? That the fact that Phoenix Rebirth and both Icarus have an interesting lineup. I think more than anything, both SRs are kind of in the same, but I think Icarus have been continuously a bit more stronger when it comes to more of those kind of pullbacks, especially with having Cuddle, Star, Defran, not the Defran you're thinking of, weird things here and there. Either way,
Not the former.
still feel like Phoenix Rebirth, they're going to be able to kind of have a little bit more sustain, especially with the fact that they are basically running their own team and they're not having 2 fills come immediately in just to kind of save it up.
Yeah, and Star as well, the only 4,400 plus SR player in this lobby. Forgive for the pun, but that is a lot of star power here on the lineup, and that pop-off potential could be the difference maker in such a high-tier matchup. this is a semi-final after all. Winner of this game will go directly into the grand final of our bracket, and the loser will have a second crack at the title, being dropped down into the loser semi-final. Cannot wait to get things started.
I definitely gotta say that I'm absolutely excited to see, especially with our first map kind of slowly getting into it. Obviously, game type is going to be control, so you don't have to worry about anything about, oh, is this something different? It's always going to be the same, all right? What do you expect? More than anything, Busan is going to be our first map, and I really like Busan as a first map. I think this can be a very more one-even thing than like Lijiang Tower, which sometimes can feel like a steamroll. I think Busan's by far one of the more even ones.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Busan, not just from a gameplay perspective, but just on an aesthetic perspective. I think it's just a gorgeous map. I think probably the control maps are some of the prettiest maps that we have in Overwatch. Daytime Lijiang, very underrated. Shout out Daytime Lijiang, but excited to see what these teams produce here, especially like in most other control maps. So many different compositions are viable on different points.
I definitely have to agree. As well as just like we're at a very high elo right now. If you can see, kind of at the bottom of the screen right now, 3.9 higher. That means these teams are basically in a tier 4 to tier 3 scenario. So I'm not too surprised to seeing them run out on the Wrecking Ball, but we are going to possibly have some technical difficulties as that map is immediately going to be swapped back. Don't worry about it too much. It happens. But seeing the Wrecking Ball, yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. Going on Wrecking Ball in the drum map on Busan, it works to great degrees. And we're in that spot where these teams, I think, are equal kind of in mechanical skills. Obviously, you could have someone who's better than one other person, but what they're more focusing on is team coordination. That's what defines things, defines how you play, especially in Diamond and higher above.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how these compositions play out, because we've seen from the Overwatch League, and not too many patches have come out since, there's a lot of compositions that are viable in Overwatch right now, right? Obviously, the ball is still relatively dominant, but basically anything played well is still very, very healthy. But, you know, given how the last series we casted went, maybe the monkey brawl is not the best. But other than that, I think most compositions are very viable. It looks like we have some ball dive and some Sigma ball kind of surround pokish comp coming up with Nevermind on the Symmetra kind of sending me a little bit here. But we do get started with these two relatively similar compositions, both with break babysitters for the sets.
Yeah, we should basically be seeing very close to mirrors. Though Stun having that Sombra, I very much makes it. I think it makes a difference, especially against Sadist. But it matters in how you're using that too. Your ability. These compositions are very much kind of teamwork based, and especially in these dives, the moment someone goes down, that's going to switch kind of how Icarus want to be pushing it, or how Phoenix want to try and counteract it.
Yeah, now Peanuts on the Sombra here is going to be absolutely key, because Sadist now all of a sudden is fighting a lot less space. You can already tell, because Phoenix Rebirth Star on the ball there has twice the amount of ult charge already. Now Sadist are rolling in, trying to brave the Sombra. Not going to get hacked, fortunately for them, but is going to take a lot of damage and eat the Discord as well. I'm being honest, not quite sure where Peanuts is right now, because that Sombra should be all over at that ball for the moment, but it doesn't matter. The rest of Phoenix Rebirth are going to be able to collapse on in. Star on the Wrecking Ball, the 400 player, is going to be able to get a lot of work done, and Peanuts is going to take that opening for the double kill as well.
It was a really good engagement. The Sombra did so much when it came to just slowing down Sadist and the rest of the team. I mean, Phoenix did lose their diva very early, kind of midway through the fight, but that wasn't really the issue. The thing that came into it was that Icarus have nothing to do against this Sombra, but they get a really nice rock out with the EMP. Still building that pulse bomb, Eaton.
Oh my goodness, two pulse bombs of very different fates. There's one gets eaten and one gets a direct stick on the Zenyatta. I want to point out their spike hanging back to kind of bait out that Sombra. It was pretty Giga Brain, but it did not end in an elimination. Peanut did end up using the EMP there as well, but they have more and more ultimates coming online, including both support ults user.
Yeah, Stun's been playing Sombra absolutely phenomenally, and what I mean by that is the fact that they played Sombra for about one fight, built up EMP, used it, and now they're going to be rotating back. on. They're trading in their ultimates and they're setting themselves up for victory, which is absolutely what I love to see. Icarus are going to be struggling the furthermore they go out onto this composition, and if they're not putting more pressure onto Stun, who is making sure that Satis can't take dives, and Spike, who is just wanting to be able to let the team move in and help them out, it's just going to struggle further in, but losing a door! Oh no!
Yeah, that's going to be absolutely wild, especially because Adore had the rally going as well, and Icarus sees the opportunity to rally and transcend at the same time. There's a lot of ultimates being committed here. Spike as well having the flux ready to go, is not going to let it rip just yet, misses that rock, so it looks like Satis is, it looks like Star is able to get out of there alive. The minds of Icarus are still on point, but the control has not put quite yet. Phoenix is able to touch just with a little bit longer stall, the extra 10 percentage points. They need to bring it very, very close to a last fight scenario. Both teams with good ultimates to invest here as well.
Oh man, you know, very good early on pick. Spike saved it. That once the moment Adore had that rally was going to be able to come in, it was going to be an issue kind of moving forward. But now Icarus, they're going to have a lot of issues trying to take this fight. They're using their ults early, which is good, but Spike doesn't really have the cleanest sightlines, but it's somehow working out in their favor just because Phoenix Reborn are collapsing on each other.
Yes, Spike, I think, just ended up not getting the animation out there correctly, which is very odd. Not something I've seen before. And now a brutal stagger onto Defran. I mean, it looks like Nevermind was going to go down for a second, and oh no, they do! Star somehow managed to collapse on that low tracer, following up on that damage done from the baby Tina. A staggers can hurt you from time to time. Be careful.
I definitely have to agree. They're wanting to take this fight. Rebirth want to try and bring this back as much as possible, especially using that pulse bomb, getting that clip. The mines are on the point, so they're setting themselves. They still have this EMP from Peanut, whose name is backwards, and I just called them Stun to make it easier on myself, but I don't know why they call themselves Peanut. That's a frustration I have with the Overwatch community, but I'll say that later. Still, Icarus are going to have a big issue trying to reset in this last fight time bank.
Yeah, they're going to have to reset and reset fast. Icarus might be able to get Satis on the point, but the EMP comes out nice. They're on the trance. They were able to hide, so Lyric is able to try to keep everybody alive, but no! Defran with the double kill with the Diva Bomb is clearing everybody out. Nobody can touch, and Phoenix Reaper grab very, very closely contested 1-0 to kick things off.
It's been looking pretty good. That Sombra was very much the pulling factor moving and forward, and the fact that Icarus struggled to kind of play against it is going to kind of shine further, especially on Mecha Base, my favorite of all the Busan maps, mostly because you can play Doomfist on here, and I like Doomfist. Hey, thank you, Peanut. All right, I know. Never mind. I have my hatred for you again. Either way, it's gonna be a lot more interesting to see. Your backlines are a lot more weaker on this point. They're a lot more open, especially if you're not running that Cassidy, though Cassidy isn't really great in this tight sentiment, so it's understandable why you prefer that Ashe. I definitely think it's up to not only Star and Satis to kind of get these openings, but the Ashes to follow up closely with the headshots.
Yeah, and Froggies and Adore are going to have a really tough time trying to keep their Zenyatas alive, and Star's going to run into a face full of hurt. Froggy with a great stun coming out. Fantastic work on the brig by her, and Cuddle now running into a whirl of hurt here, being forced to back out, and without their Tracer, Phoenix are in a bit of trouble here. Icarus are able to push forward and start to get some progress on the point. The door, under a lot of pressure on the brig, eventually is going to go down as well.
Look at that, looking nice. They managed to just bring that back, stay together, and just pretty much brute force their way into that victory, which is very much what I'd like to see. As well as just Satis being a lot more impressive on the Wrecking Ball when they're allowed to play the game. They are wanting to kind of reset very closely, and this is all about kind of engagement versus counter engagement. At least that's the way I see it. It's going to be harder for Adore and ATR to kind of move in the moment Satis is there, and then Wolfie is being able to kind of click your head.
Yeah, Wolfie here 2/3 of their way to a Bob. Both teams set up on opposite sides of the map. Never mind here. Going on a bit of a flank, getting so close to that pulse bomb. Is going to get pressured down just a little bit. We'll have to grab that pulse back. And it goes in. Great follow-up on Peanuts there, who I believe was really low from the Zen already. Ate a Discord Orb, and then, of course, the rest of the damage being followed through by Nevermind. Now just having to play a little bit slower, waiting out that Transcendence. And then as soon as that's over, the slam comes in, and so does the damage. Great timing there from Phoenix Rebirth. They saw... Sorry, from Icarus. They saw that ATR had the transit, and instead of kiting. They just used that time to set up a second dive, and as soon as that Transcendence ended, you saw those combos come out. Really, really good work there. Using the opposition's trans almost as your own tempo reset to coordinate your timing, absolutely gigabrain.
And I'd have to say I agree. Phoenix Reborn, they are going to build up some ultimates, but they seem to struggle against this kind of counter dive composition, especially without that Sombra. But with these ultimates, they might be able to start swinging it back.
Yep, and the flux over the minefield is going to be absolutely brutal. 3 kills coming out nice and early on a door with the rally, but not necessary to use it. The only Sacker kill is on to Nevermind, which isn't the worst thing in the world, as Icarus will be able to come back fast. They need one more fight to lock this down, and they have 2 key ultimates coming online.
Hey, it's very nice, very good. And I'm kind of more analyzing this fight because now it's just going to be a rally and brute force. Both sides want to try to get an advantage, but the bomb is truly the one that splits them up.
Wow. Yeah, no, the Bob there was deleted so quickly, but that's Icarus's attention somewhere that's not on Phoenix Rebirth. But Phoenix losing their Zenyatta as well. ATR no longer in the fight. A lot of burst damage and a lot of Discord utility no longer available. Larry's so close to a Transcendence of their own as well. If they can farm that up, that could be GG's very, very quickly for Phoenix Rebirth, as Icarus are looking healthier and healthier. The Transcendence comes through just to stabilize everything, just the Tracer on point to get rid of. Cuddle so difficult to stay alive, eventually is going to go down as well. It's just Peanuts and a door alive. I don't know if they're able to touch, as they both are going to get cut down. ATP there on the Zenyatta, that's going to be pretty rough. The mechanics of these higher SR players are so ridiculous to watch from a first person's perspective. A door now on the break as the solo healer. Oh no! Oh, never mind. That's a bit of a Tracer diff. The pulse bomb stick on your opposition. Your job as Tracer, harass the Zenit to win your ones, and it looks like we're seeing both here coming out of Nevermind. The series is tied up 1-1. We go to a tiebreaker point on our first map of the series.
Icarus just look a lot better comparably on that Wrecking Ball composition when it's a straight kind of mirror. And I think Phoenix Rebirth, they struggled a lot when trying to adapt against it, and that's something that they are going to kind of switch over to, as we already see Peanuts or Stun, whatever you really want to focus more on, is going on to that Sombra. That is your condition. You're not winning these fights. The Icarus just looks to be a bit more mechanical and understanding, especially when that Bob was out. It split Phoenix up themselves. They were the ones who used it, and yet they kind of lost because of it. Not directly, but still. Now, you know what you're good at. You know what you can do. Make Icarus play bad. They're not a full team right now, so they are going to be a lot weaker, especially when it comes to that communication.
Yeah, especially not just communication, but to be able to peel for a hacked ball is going to be really tough, and that does come through immediately. But Sass somehow managed to slingshot themselves to safety before the hack was completed, so no harm, no foul there. ATR is going to get the kill onto the Tracer. We usually see it the other way around, but never mind. Paying for their sins of that absolutely filthy pulse bomb from the end of last round, and it looks like Phoenix Rebirth have a pretty good hold on the point here, user.
I gotta say, it was just that early hack that kind of pressure of the hack that made them a little bit scared, and also ATR getting an absolute wicked headshot onto Nevermind. So while this point is sort of staggering out, and Icarus are slowly bringing it back, the point is still going into the favor of Phoenix Rebirth as they get more time.
Yeah, but now Icarus is now able to turn this the other way around, and I really want to highlight Lyric's contribution here. That Zenyatta, I mean, Zenyatta is a bit of a glass cannon, and Lyric just kind of nestled in between the Brig and the Sigma there, fearlessly charging forward, hitting those headshots. Absolutely fantastic play on the Zenyatta to be able to output that amount of damage.
Absolutely clean, that's what I'd like to say. It helps a lot. Zenyatta is a very good character, especially if you know what you're doing with him. That's why Jonak became so popular when it came to just the Overwatch meta and things of all those sorts. Sombra's not going to be able to shut you down. They do have the EMP, and that does knock Zenyatta down to that 50 HP, but they have the Transcendence. Who's going to be able to kind of get that pick?
ATR! The Zen on Tracer violence won't stop. This time it's on the other team. The EMP comes out, catches 4, but that's not enough. The rally is there as well from Froggies. That EMP has ended. No kills have come through. Spike amidst the flux as well. Sadis getting 2 on the ball is absolutely enormous. Icarus are determined to lock this down. They commit all to tell Phoenix Rebirth to get back into spawn.
It was a very nice push, but the true winner of that all was Lyric. And do you know why? Well, I'm not going to give you a second to answer. I'm not nice like that, nor is Lyric, because they were so dirty with that Transcendence. They waited out that EMP, landed it, and it's pretty much the best counter that you can play against it. And now we see Peanut switching over to the Ashe, a little more worried in how they're going to try and do it. This Mines don't even get to be on top of Icarus.
Oh, that's a fantastic flail from Froggies here to be able to land that and deny those mines is absolutely enormous for Icarus making their way forward. Now, never mind taking another L, this time to Peanuts instead of the Zen, and Lyric is unstoppable. Star is going to hit the deck now, courtesy of a Robot Monk, and Peanuts completely uncontested in the backline now because Satis is running into a lot of trouble, so the Ashe is able to free fire and keep the point locked down.
It works out. They do manage to bring it back solely just Icarus were a little bit caught off guard with the mines, I think, and with that capture, their priorities very much switched to who they were trying to go after. Now they have a bit more time to breathe. Icarus are going to be able to come back. It's still in a good spot. This is anyone's kind of way to push in, especially with the pulse bomb, but the Diva bomb is kind of more, I think, more of just a way to move them aside. It's going to be really hard to look for pure value on it, so you gotta kind of play against it. Don't use it the normal way. Make them confused.
Alright, never mind, they're taking a chunk of damage now, waiting to be healed up. Wolfie is going to toss that bobbin, and oh no. Froggies now eventually is going to cool down to a direct stick in the pulse from Greek and Cuddle over here, and DeFran throws out the self-destruct here and almost gets chunked down immediately, but ATR has that Transcendence, and the Pulse Bomb from Nevermind comes out straight into the Trance and doesn't end up doing too much damage. He did not stick anybody down enough to burst them down. Another Bob being invested, this time on the side of Phoenix Rebirth, as Peanuts as a dying axe sends the Butler into play. Trades are coming up from both sides. There are kills. Both teams are able to win this, and the DMAC onto DeFran might be it for Phoenix Rebirth for this fight, as Icarus now starting to get more of a stranglehold on the point. Can they put this back in their favor in this overtime fight? And it looks like yes, they are. What a close series, what a close point.
The mines were the kind of saving grace. And I gotta say, this is absolutely going down to the wire. Both of these teams really just want to kind of win it out. And it's going down to kind of the smaller mistakes in the DPS. Never mind versus Cuddle, trying to get those big isolation kills. Though they have the rally, that's the thing they have above Icarus. I can see them being able to secure it.
Alright, Rally is going to be committed, as well as the Mines. Wolfie all of a sudden looking in a little bit of trouble, but Star chooses not to engage on Wolfie. This isn't the first time today we've seen Ashes being left uncontested, and that might come back to hurt them. Cuddle has a Pulse Bomb Eden as well, so that's another key resources that is no longer available to Phoenix. Icarus now desperately trying to fend off this attack, but without their without Spike on Diva, that's going to be very, very difficult, and that Brig is under a lot of pressure as well. A door being forced further and further away from the fight, which is not where you want your Brig. Froggy now committing the Sound Barrier as well. That could be it. That's it. Everybody's so tanky, so unkillable, and Phoenix now in a world of hurt with the losing the ball through the best stall heroes are going to stay on a little stronger just for a little bit longer, but Star eventually is going to get burst out, and Icarus are going to secure it. Hey, listen, if fillers, ringers, or nobody in your starting lineup available, it doesn't matter. Icarus do pull ahead against all odds.
It's nice to see the fact that they don't have to worry about anything. They are good no matter what pieces they have. That became an issue of just how Phoenix were so slow on trying to take that engage that Icarus were able to kind of slow things out, be able to bring it back. What a nice whip shot from Froggies, by the way. My goodness.
Yeah, we are seeing some incredible mechanical skill come out of our Brigs. Both Adore and Froggy have been absolutely enormous on those heroes. A hero that we take for granted a little bit, but Brig being able to babysit the glass cannon of Zenyatta has been the difference maker for both these teams so far this series.
It's been more of a kind of, I think, more of a line fight of just seeing how much you're opting is being able to protect your little baby boy or girl, whatever you truly want to identify as Zenyatta as. I don't really know we don't have much lore on him. We know he likes to bake, kind of. Either way, thinking about an Omnix genitalia. Icarus are looking good, I gotta say. They're cleaning up their executions. They're looking a lot faster. They immediately adapted against a Sombra when they showed issues against it on the first map, and that's definitely what you want to be seeing moving forward, because that means Icarus are going to be able to kind of defeat anything that gets thrown at them, while Phoenix Rebirth, I feel they're I don't want to be rude about it, but a little bit mechanically diffed at times. At times, Icarus are winning these 1v1s, and I think that's not really kind of an insulting thing. That's just the fact that Icarus has a few better players, so your teamwork needs to be a lot better. Their executions aren't always as clean, nor are they really truly committing as one force rather than as individual pieces, and that's where they're not really going to be able to kind of shut down Icarus more often than not, as we saw.
Yeah, and speaking of DPS lines, we see the Ashe on both sides having gone uncontested several times so far this round, and it looks like a conscious choice because it's not like the Ashes are hidden and that those moments have come about at times where the fight was relatively even. So, very curious to see. I don't know what your thoughts are on the Wrecking Ball's decisions to focus on the main fight and focus on the opposition tank line rather than on the isolated Ashe.
I definitely would have to more think on it, because I think there are both upsides and downsides to it. Upside is that you're putting more pressure onto the front line. You're trying to worry more about the off tank and the support who are truly being the issue. Ignoring that Ashe does hurt though, because Ashe puts in a lot of damage if you let that character survive for a very long time, especially with that Bob. But Ashe isn't going to get that much issues. The Wrecking Ball composition is moving by so fast. If that Ashe has not consistently taken somebody out on your team, then you do not have to pay any attention. They're just going to be looking to build up those Bobs, and those Bobs don't get much room. As we saw, those Bobs were more used to kind of contest point or being thrown to kind of CC people around, but they weren't really a team fight winning ultimate, nor really a necessary one in the long run. I think more of these fights are kind of relying onto the support lines. The support lines for these teams have been absolutely amazing. So when moving into King's Row, we're going to be seeing more out of the tank line. Supports have already shown themselves. This is where the tanks. King's Row is 100% a tank v tank map.
It is a tank v tank map, especially because, I mean, it's also, we see a lot of Reinhardt duels here, and that's kind of, as someone that's played Overwatch from launch, more specifically the first Halloween event in October, it's a very tangible and visible tank fight. That's like the OG, like the spirit of the tank fight is in those Reinhardts pummeling each other into the ground. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, and not just that, because we mentioned the main supports of both these teams playing solo on the break, and I'm curious to see how they play on Lucio now. We saw a little of the stall Lucio come out. I believe Adore played the Lucio for a little bit, but in a full-length map where the speed boost could be important, that synergy between your Reinhardt and your Lucio has to be top-notch, because you have to be on the same pathing, you have to be on the same tempo, and I'm very interested to see how this plays out, especially, remember, Icarus are not playing with their full roster. They do have to call some ringers in.
All right, I'm going to quickly go back to what you said. You said could. I'm going to just delete that word, throw it out in the trash. Lucio, I'm a big Lucio player myself. You know, Johnny Cruz, he loves Garfield, and so do I. Okay, that's a true fact, by the way. I asked him myself.
Yeah, I'm sure you hate Mondays too.
Yeah. Either way, the point I want to be getting to is that Lucio as a character, when in those brawls, especially in King's Row, is fight defining. Sound barrier, obviously, that's the first answer. Saves you from a lot of those kind of immediate pushes, but speed boost as an ability is so powerful. It dictates the momentum of how both of these teams want to take those engagements. And a Lucio who understands how to use that momentum and how to use those speed boosts with their team is going to be winning that Brawl v Brawl. Obviously, yes, this is mostly going to be a tank scenario, but you can save your tank if you just hit them with that wee bit of speed boost and they're able to escape, or you hit them with that wee bit of speed boost and you just run right into them. So I'm not too surprised to be seeing Phoenix Rebirth kind of relying on the competition. It's going to be one that works out to great success. And if Icarus walk out on the Wrecking Ball comp, I'm not going to blame them. It's been one that we've seen teams run, and they've seemed to have success with it. So it's it's going to be more of, do they want to kind of throw out a variation, or do they run out with what's traditional? It seems they're running out with a small bit of variation, but even then we can't be surely confident on it.
Yeah, and they could be in for a world of hurt. I mean, they eventually switched off, but like I said, Phoenix Rebirth with a very classic defensive composition with the Mei, with the Cassidy. That's as traditional brawl as it gets. The only thing we're missing is a Zarya, but nobody seems to be fancying her chances of getting a look right now. So a complete mirror from both teams. That's classic Kings Row for you folks. Now, coming up this right side, a very good wall coming up from both teams here. Ends up to a bit of a stalemate. No picks are going to go in the immediate moment. Oh, and a great block of the flashbang from Stars to prevent himself from being chunked low like Status was just a second ago. That means more ult charge over to your supports. Froggy's in a bit of trouble as well, that Lucio being chunked down very low. And as soon as you lose your Lucio, that loss in mobility is going to get you in a lot of trouble. Now, both these teams now choosing to engage, and oh no, we see that Ryan in a bit of trouble here. Status lays down the Shatter. Does anything land? Yes, that does. The Status eventually gives up their life to avoid that aggression. We can see Lyric engage the ultimate, not quite, but a very good flashbang to save their Cassidy here to take down Cuddle. That's the reflexes on these players are absolutely unreal. And now, never mind doing the full wraparound on attack, able to get this off angle. Challenged by the D.Va now. As the Fang comes over to force them out of position, never mind goes down eventually.
Man, they are just kind of going all out. They really want to be able to win this fight. But Phoenix Rebirth have regrouped, and they stood way too long out. Look at that, a massive stacker and kind of the ult disparity on both sides. Peanut was using more of their walls as, I think, more of reactionary, which was absolutely phenomenal because they were able to deny those really good walls coming out of Wolfie, especially that first one that we saw. So if you're not getting those Mei fight wins out of the wall, then you're not really going to get much.
Alright, speaking of Mei abilities, that Blizzard is going to be committed. Peanuts answers one of their own as well. Star now stuck in a bit of an awkward position in his cubby. Eventually is going to come out. So when that Shatter comes out, doesn't find anybody. The D.Va Bomb in the air as well. More D.Va Bombs coming out left, right, and center. Very easy block. Cuddle and go getting the kill at least. Well, Phoenix Rebirth looking very comfortable so far on this defense. Less than 2 minutes remaining for Icarus to make a difference.
Definitely have to agree. Icarus are kind of just having weird ways to engage, and that's an understandable high noon. You're definitely using it for the LOS and to get control at the point when they take that rotation, they take out your Mei.
Oh my, Phoenix Rebirth just rushed the Deadeye and it worked out for them. That's ridiculous. They speed boosted into the Deadeye and Nevermind had to use it before it was fully charged up. Great shield work here from Star as well to prevent the one tap on his Cassidy. Wow, that is decisive decision making if I've ever seen it. These teams are serving up a next level Overwatch display.
Hey, it just works out. The High Noon is more used as a way of engagement, and the enemy team doesn't really have the room to be able to push in, but you gave them that room. Luckily, though, that window's still going to get a lot of value just by playing the sideways, and especially with Satis!
Oh, Satis Shamus gets blocked and then gets flashbang. That's a feels bad, man. Cuddle here with the double with the Deadeye as well. Just one fight remaining for Icarus to make a dent here, but they... Oh, no, that's... I almost said Spaghetti Spillage, but that's not really Icarus doing anything wrong as much as Phoenix Rebirth, but just absolutely dominant. Now they have both tank ults and the Blizzard online as well. Star. No, Star's gonna do it. Star's hiding. Oh, they know. Okay, sorry, the funny won't happen, Chad. Relax. But Star still has the Shadow here. The Deadeye is going to come to the Blizzard. Is going to be engaged as well, and Phoenix Rebirth take that and start swinging. They are so good at carving a little opening for themselves and being mercilessly ruthless in the way they take advantage of them. 10 seconds remaining now. Can anybody else touch user? I don't think so. Satis now over onto the ball. Gets shattered, gets stunned. That's another feels bad, man. And the clock ticks down to 0. No ticks for Icarus and no for Phoenix Rebirth.
What a switch in the way that they kind of play. The Phoenix Rebirth, they looked absolutely beautiful on it. I think they looked nice on the Wrecking Ball, but I can now see that it is not their strongest comp. But I have the opposite feeling when it comes to Icarus. They it almost felt uncomfortable the way that they wanted to take these pushes, shots, and fights. They weren't really. I feel their brawl was not at the level that I really was expecting it. Nevermind had some really nice May walls out, but a lot of the way that they were using their abilities weren't really the best factors, especially when you're using something like a High Noon to push in. That means your enemy team should be pushing out. You should have room to be able to shoot them where they are wasting that DM or speed boost just to try to escape. But you gave them room to be able to make that rotation, and they're not really reacting to what Phoenix Rebirth are being able to do. While Phoenix Rebirth, they're perfectly being able to play around it, and Star is having so much room as a tank to just kind of peel in for the team that it works. And I think that's kind of given into the fact that Adore has been absolutely phenomenal on that Lucia, making sure that they stick themselves to their Reinhardt and they kind of move back. Though seeing out with this bunker comp on attack, I don't. This is either the biggest read of their life or they are just running funny memes.
Okay, it looks like they are serious. I thought it was a caster debate, so I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, this is a funny comp for sure, and it looks like Icarus are going back to what they know. Peanuts already getting the pick off onto the Tracer, and Nevermind going for a flank, and is going to pay for that arrogance. And now that the Orisa is set up on point, that is going to be a bit of an immovable object to push into. And oh my goodness, a great pull to cancel the slime from Sadis. The tank line here on Icarus are having a bit of a pig around, and oh my goodness, I mean, I just heard a bunch of ding 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 ding. So you listen, user, that was ridiculous. Phoenix Rebirth absolutely dominant on King's Row.
I was a little bit sad, and I would definitely give that to the fact that Icarus let them take place on point, and Adore just did what the play of the game shows, absolutely whips you, and that's what really works. The moment that they were going to be able to sit on to that point was the moment that they were going to be able to win that. The bunker relies on just the enemy team not kind of knowing exactly how to play against it, and I think we can both agree, while this Diva Orisa has sort of been normalized as Overwatch League kind of showed, and same with contenders, and as we kind of move in and teams are finding comfortability with it, it's still not a very common one that teams play or scrim against at this level. So it's definitely understandable to see them kind of weaken a bit, but I want to be seeing Icarus. They seem more like really good engager teams, but when they're in these compositions where they have to play a bit more reactive and adapt on these spots, that's where we saw that struggle truly come out. Nobody on their team could make that play, make that kind of quick headshot that we saw on Busan, and that's where they started to fall. I said it. Icarus have better mechanical players, but Phoenix Rebirth, they've been looking better as a team, and they've been looking better kind of in these fights, which is odd because they lost on the Wrecking Ball 1v1. So moving in and moving further, I'm more curious to see who's going to have that edge. The support lines have sort of been wavering, and the DPSs, I'm still a long player. I'm not a DPS player myself. I pretty much would be lying. But the tank lines have been showing themselves up, and I've got to say, Phoenix Rebirth, at least in the main tank department, they are absolutely crushing it.
Yeah, well, we will find out how the rest of this goes later on after Phoenix Rebirth and Icarus play out a very scrappy map 1 and a very dominant map 2. Stick around, more Overwatch coming your way.
constellations. You cover me in glitter till I'm shining bright. I never wanna leave the sky. The way you made me feel alive. I was in the dark and baby, you're the light. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Couldn't fight if I wanted. Flying to places that I never thought I could go. You're a meteor shower, falling down all over me. Yeah, you're making me glow. Couldn't fight if I wanted. Flying to places that I never thought I could go. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Yeah, got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me.
Welcome back to Get Good. We currently have a semifinal for you as Phoenix, Rebirth, and Icarus are locked head-to-head 1-1 so far this series for a championship game spot. User, it's been a heck of a series so far.
It definitely has a lot of theory crafting kind of going into this as well, because these teams very much live in a bubble of kind of unknown. We've got a lot of moments where we're kind of paying attention to see who's going to be able to have more of an opportunity to be able to have one over than another. And I think that more goes into how we're looking at the next map, which is going to be Junkertown. And that becomes, we don't know how exactly this is going to work. I definitely think Icarus have the kind of advantage. They've been looking a lot stronger when kind of using out their DPS. This is not going to be a brawl map, and we're not going to be able to see the Phoenix being able to just run down on you. So there becomes that kind of air and bubble of Icarus to say, hey, we're not going to let you just do what you did before. We're going to play double sniper. We're going to play that wrecking ball comp, maybe even a double shield, and we are going to defeat you. And yet, for some reason, I feel like Phoenix have only gotten started. I feel like they are iron in a blacksmith, repeatedly being hammered down, and the more we hit them, the more they get hurt, the more tougher they're going to be in the end.
Hey, look, Phoenix Rebirth, as good as a team they might be, they are undefeated so far this season. They don't really do sweeps. We're seeing here that they have not gotten a sweep so far this playoff round. So I would not be surprised if maybe it is a team that just takes a second or two to warm up. So I think if I'm an Icarus player, I'm an Icarus fan, I'm a little frightened to see what Phoenix have to play here, especially if it's something like Double Barrier or Brawl that's very team-orientated. Because like you said, this team has their timings and has their decision-making on a dime.
They've been looking very nice. So moving out, this is where we'll be seeing the rock, paper, scissors element of Overwatch go in. We're in a nice meta right now. Nobody is kind of overpowered. There isn't a composition that is better than another person. And so it gives the liberty to where we can look at both of these teams and say, well, what are you going to run? What is going to work? But there's still that rock, paper, scissors element. Dive is always going to have a struggle going up against double shield. Double shield's always going to struggle sometimes going up against brawl and vice versa. And it kind of goes into that air of how do you play this comp to work? Though seeing on Cuddle on that Genji means they are going to be playing a lot more aggressive and more flanky, probably wanting to put more pressure onto the supports. It matters how Phoenix react to how these dives happen more than anything, because losing Peanut almost like that means you could lose the fight.
Yeah, no, that rotation was just a little slower than they would have liked here, but now Peanut's now back in the safety behind the shields. Last time we saw Junkertown earlier this evening, we saw a little bit of a struggle bus come out from the defensive team against the Widowmaker sightlines, but Phoenix Rebirth are on a different level, so they are immune to that for the time being and have chosen this third corner to really be their, to be the hill they die on here, to really be where they pick this fight.
Yeah, they're having issues kind of finding those Widow spots, which is their kind of big spot of just where they're missing out on. It is still giving them a lot of space, but the issue comes to the fact that Cuddle is alive, and Cuddle being alive means not only deflect, but your dash cam, and as we see, the Widowmaker needing to try and escape and then get a lot of resources just to survive, which comes into that issue, though Cuddle stays way too long.
Yeah, Cuddle overstays their welcome a little bit, and Adore unable to pack dump on top of them. As well as they would have liked. So a bit of trouble now. The Immortality Field is going to be forced out, as well as Wolfie eventually does get Peanut down after a couple attempts, and Adore is going down as well. They are going to commit the Matrix though, as Peanut is going to switch over onto the Widowmaker as well. Hey, observers, keep your eyes open. We're going to have a Widow duel on our hand. Win your ones, kid, and you win the map.
Hey, but they're looking fine. That Widowmaker is just not going to be able to escape Sigma, though the mines shut that down. They're going to be looking more for a quick reset. Phoenix Rebirth are going to be struggling just to be able to come back. However, they do have more of the advantage. They died at very interesting angles, and Peanut very much is still alive and comes back, hits the Widow to take this duel, and it's just starting to shut people down.
My ultimate is ready. Come on.
Yeah, and I did not expect Phoenix Rebirth to be able to make that work, but as soon as that Arisa came back, all of a sudden things changed up. They have the bongos here now as well, so Icarus forced to forget what I said. Icarus forced to take matters into their own hands and take down Peanut. Wolfie with a great headshot onto Peanut there. Is going to be able to buy their team a lot of space here, but Cuddle is going to pop up on this Genji, getting a bunch of kills, jumping after Wolfie, and this time winning the one and getting the elimination as well. The Blade is now online, no nano boost or no mercy damage boost to be able to back them up, but that might be enough to force out the trans. That's enormous.
Cuddle absolutely frustrated, just lets themselves die from that. But now they're struggling because Peanut's still alive, still headshotting you.
Yeah, Peanut got the double, and oh my goodness, Peanut got the double, but Lyric taking a very brave move to take some hot shots at a Widow with sights up, but it does work out as Peanut now was forced to back out there, and the mines and the sights are no more. Mines are going to come out, though. Wolfie taking the L, now switching over onto that Soldier, as Phoenix Rebirth seems to have this all unlocked. The Flux is going to come out as well. No ability to cancel that. The tank line is deleted. 30 seconds remaining here for Phoenix Rebirth. They look in control.
Wow, they look absolutely in control. Oh, is it because I said that Icarus were going to be able to kind of bring it back? Is it because I said Icarus looked like they had a better mechanical team, and yet the synergy and kind of more flexibility of Phoenix Rebirth are now working out in their favor, and the fact that Peanut has just shown up with Cuddle to be able to win these fights out. Same with just Defran, Star, the entirety of Phoenix Rebirth are taking this 110% seriously.
Yeah, and Peanut's just playing very patient here, waiting to take this Widow duel, basically ignoring what's happening everywhere else. And everywhere else, it's a graveyard for flex supports. As the dive comes through, both teams trade their flex supports, almost like their dive bait. And the Widow duel continues here. Oh, Peanuts, I think, messes up the jump shot there, but it doesn't matter. because Icarus are crumpling on point here. And, oh no, they sent Kato after the Widow yet again. The tiebreaker this time, these two are one-on-one in duels against each other, but it doesn't matter. Phoenix Rebirth walked on a great defense. Like you said, you said Icarus might be having a bit of a resurgence here and might pop off on Junkertown. Phoenix Rebirth, to quote the great Michael Jordan, and I took that personally. They were not having any of it. And Icarus, well, you're coming up against the first seed and it shows. Phoenix Rebirth, a very, very good performance.
Yeah, I gotta say, sometimes I think a lot of casters, and that becomes the big issue, is that we try to predict these players. We try to get inside their minds and understand what they're going to do before they do it. So we look a lot smarter, and that everything becomes more clear to the audience and what's happening when we talk to them. But that becomes the big issue. We cannot predict these players. I think the more that these games go on and that playoffs continue in, these players are becoming more unpredictable. They're becoming better with each match, and that becomes a room of unclarity. Because I'll fully admit it, I thought Icarus were going to be able to kind of full steam this and be able to be fine without any kind of sort of issues. Maybe they would lose this or like bring this to like a 3-3 type of movement, but I still thought Phoenix would struggle because of just Busan and how they struggled against the Wrecking Ball comp. But I'm thinking this is only because they went up against a Wrecking Ball comp as a Wrecking Ball comp. They're just beating you with a different game. They're playing as a team, while Icarus, well, they're struggling.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're happy to let Peanuts take the duel against Wolfie, and to it doesn't matter who wins this duel. They don't need Peanuts to kill Wolfie. They just need Peanuts to distract Wolfie for long enough that they can run over that front line. And the only other threat here is never mind on the flank onto the Baptiste, but Adore playing a very bodyguard style of break should be more than enough to hold them off. So, yeah, the spaghetti is theirs to spill, so to speak. Phoenix Rebirth in a very good position.
I definitely have to agree. They're just pushing this payload. They don't have to move it too far, but Icarus have to be able to defend it. Though their composition, I think, works better when they have more time to be able to set up.
That's a collapse, and oh no. Icarus did not go for the spawn cam comp. They try to take a more sensible fight, but if you lose that sensible fight, you don't get to touch again. And now, Status with no health, maybe gonna try to wrap around. It's not going to work out. Phoenix Rebirth 2, Icarus 1. Wow. A display almost as dominant as what we saw on King's Row. Phoenix Rebirth now with a semi-final win on the horizon. One more map confirms their attendance in our grand final here in GitGud. What a display.
That's 2 full holds in a row. I don't think I've seen anything like that when it comes to playoffs. That's not normal. And I think that's what we get for underestimating a Phoenix and by the lore and mythology of them, you know? They're called Phoenix Rebirth, which means they have already died, and I think that's what first map defines as their death and then the rebirth, all right? I'm having to bring out the lore, you know? They don't need a map score, they just need the victory. So, 2CP is next. Phoenix Reborn, they've been looking great as a team, and I think that's what's been helping them win. It's more of the fact that Icarus, that Widow, more often than not, was taking pot shots against the enemy Widow, or was trying to take that fight when the Wrecking Ball, you know, you have to work as a team. You use that Wrecking Ball, slam down, while Sigma gives you that room. Widow can look for any kind of picks, but you should be looking for those people who are being up in the air, as that's just a quick shot, you know? That's just a quick second that you don't have to worry, and they're going to be in a very horizontal lane. So going on to 2CP, where, once again, this is team coordinated. Control sometimes doesn't need to be team focused, because you could just be absolutely crudy and nutty.
Yeah, just put Striker on Tracer and Inshallah. That's all you need. But like you said, yeah, we're coming up towards some less chaotic map types. 2CP, as much hate as it gets, is really just a bit of a chessboard. Just play your, just get your setups right, get those plays right, and then you should be all set. And it looks like Icarus might be in a bit of trouble here as Phoenix Rebirth, like you said, take the strategic, tactical loss of the first map to clap back even harder on maps 2, 3, and 4.
Hey, but let's look on the bright side. Icarus being down means that they have room to bring it back without any fear of a reverse sweep happening. I don't think that technically counts if it's just like a 1 to 3.
Mm-mm.
Uh, yeah, no, it really doesn't. And they get map pick. So they're going to pick the ones they feel most comfortable on. And if that's Volskaya, then let it be Volskaya. This can be very much an annoying map to go up against, especially if you don't scrim it at all. Volskaya has no true way to be played. It is one of the only flexible 2CP maps when it comes to Overwatch. You can run that double shield, wrecking ball, brawl, whatever you feel most comfortable in. But if you're not being able to play it well, I just said well twice, but you you still get it. They're gonna struggle. And I think while Icarus, they might run out on that wrecking ball. We might even see them use a Pharah, but this is no longer that elo where that's going to be working out very well. I see Phoenix Rebirth maybe running out back onto that double shield. They look great on it. They look great as a team, and honestly, their players shine because of it. While Icarus, they haven't fully gotten used to themselves.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on Icarus because remember they do have two fills, two ringers here, so it's not the full team they usually scrim with. So that context is so crucial in analyzing everything that happened before and in the future. And but Phoenix Rebirth, if they could get the double shield set up right on their first point defense, I think it's going to be very tough for Icarus to crack point A.
I definitely have to agree. And Volskaya. I'm trying to think of more things to talk about Volskaya that are kind of very important to how these teams want to be able to take their fights and their engagement. I'm trying to look at like every factor. I feel like there's a map in my brain. I'm trying to isolate every moment. Like, well, Phoenix can do this. Well, Icarus can do that. But these teams are very much anomalies to how I want to be looking at them. They have these teams continuously break my predictions and how I feel towards them. So more of an idea feeling like Phoenix Rebirth. Well, not Phoenix Rebirth, sorry, more of Icarus. Bring in your momentum. Play to your strengths. I think the biggest part about having a ringer is that unpredictability. Your enemy team is not going to know what you're going up against, so use that
Play
to
the
your
funny
advantage.
comps.
Yeah, play stuff that don't naturally work. Maybe run a Bastion. Who knows? Because if that's somebody's specialty, or if you're just like having fun, you'll be able to bring it out with the ringers. You have to shine on their attributes too, even if you're kind of being more weaker in a sense.
Yeah, and moving off of the teams for a second, just to talk about the map for a little bit, I think Sky is super interesting because, like a lot of Overwatch, it is about the story of high ground. The first and second map just has this low ground in the middle and just this death zone in the middle, and you're set up all around. You have this big ring to set up on, and you just you're allowed to do whatever you can to lock that down so you can free fire on the death zone. And point B is that times two. So I find it very interesting to see how these teams try to not just how much they value the high ground, but what they're willing to invest into it. We see brawl comms come in and then go straight up those stairs and go towards the back. So we see teams fully sacrifice the point to make sure they have high ground. And if NYXL taught us anything in seasons 1 through 3 of Overwatch League, that payload progress as a defensive team, that's a resource onto its own. If you are willing to give up a tick in order to win the fight, that's a decision that you can make, and oftentimes could be the smart and right decision because the high ground on Volskaya is so incredibly important.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I would say more of rotations kind of can be more important on Volskaya, but you're definitely right when it comes to the sentiment of high ground and high ground control. I think that's a universal fact in Overwatch. We are going to be getting one quick sub, though, and this is what matters. It's an Icarus sub. A Kiwi versus Lyric. That means something. That means they are trying something new. Somebody has arrived, and this may swing things up out of the corner, or at least what I want to be thinking of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so Akiwi is a flex support player coming in. I believe he is part of the regular roster, and I don't think Lyric is. So this could be a crucial change coming in. And I also think that if you have players available and when they show up late, I believe league rules state that they have to come in for your ringers. The whole point of ringers is that they play when you're unavailable. So as long as you are able to show up, I think you have to play. And I don't know how much warm up time a Kiwi has had. I don't know if he's been destroying bots in the training range or in a quick play game or got home from class. I don't know what it may or may not be, but that's definitely something to highlight. Not just for to see a Kiwi's performance, but to see a Phoenix Rebirth decide that's the weak spot. Right, that's your gap in the armor. That's what we want to push for. It's going to be fascinating to see if their decision-making process changes at all of that. Because so far today, we've seen these flex supports being almost hung out to dry. If I'm being honest, your Zens and your Baps, they're just out there dying over and over again as the rest of the team fight happens somewhere else. So if the teams are happy to counter dive, a Kiwi might be in for a world of hurt.
You know, you are a very smart man. I'm just gonna say that. Compliment you a little bit. Phoenix Rebirth, though, wondering where their priorities are. They seem to be swapping up their own as they are playing this Wrecking Ball composition, which we saw them run on Busam. It's kind of varying effects, although I don't know how much of a full whole composition this is. You said a lot about how high ground, and we talked a lot about how control and rotations are all about Volskaya. And I think the Wrecking Ball composition kind of identifies that the best, because it can very much break your composition, or it can work if you give things up. Oh, wait, no, it's Icarus. Got confused. Don't even worry about it. I was like, wait a minute. What is this confusion? But either way. Yeah, Phoenix Rebirth, though, they're going to look pretty strong. They're even running out onto the Torbjorn, which is going to be very much a passive character with that turret to be able to open things up for these fights.
Yeah, Sadist and Nevermind are going to have a pretty tough time trying to engage here if that Torb turret gets stood up. And we've seen Phoenix Rebirth on this composition, starring their brand on the Orisa Diva is not something we are a stranger to, and they basically walk on the point for free. Icarus are trying to lock down the higher control. Sadist is going to come in to harass from time to time, and ATR being taken out is going to be tough, as a door is not going to heal anybody up. A solo on the break is going to be very, very difficult, and Phoenix Rebirth do not confirm a tick.
Yeah, this is the point where when I thought it was Phoenix Rebirth I was going to bring up. It can be confusing to play it. And I think Phoenix Rebirth played a terrible spot playing inside that small room. Do not give this Wrecking Ball composition enough space and room for them to isolate you and shoot at one point. If that Zen is freely staying on the high ground, take over the high ground. You can touch that tick all you want. DeFran is the one who should be sitting there. The rest of your team, as they're doing now, they look angry and they want to rotate to the high ground. Stop the supports from being able to do what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this high ground rotation is going to be absolutely crucial, but they don't have a Lucio to help them get there. The Transcendence is going to be committed by a Kiwi here. Fresh sub and no problems. Great chance to keep his team alive, as ATR once again is going to be the first one down there. Phoenix Rebirth are sent packing yet again.
Man, just having struggles. They are pushing in with the rally. They're truly trying to commit with all the resources that they have. It's just a bit more unfortunate. Icarus look really good too. A lot of the worries with the Wrecking Ball composition, it was you don't rotate fast enough, you're not taking those engagements quick enough, and you're not going to be able to shut them down. Phoenix Rebirth, though, they're needing to make some switches. Maybe it's the fact that they're not being able to shut down Sadist. Maybe it's the fact that they're not really staying in one spot. They're more of just kind of messing around in a single bubble, and that's what's going to hurt them. Never mind Pulse Bomb too. It's going to be able to end a fight if they need to.
Yeah, Cuddle now switching off the Torb is going to be crucial as well, because that turret really was not getting the value that we thought it would. Now the bongos are out, and so is the Pulse Bomb. I'm surprised they didn't solo pulse the bongos, but I guess that's what the self-destruct is for. Cuddle, never mind, now trading kills. ATR Phoenix Rebirth running into some trouble here. Their support line is going down very early. We've seen that for 3 fights in a row now. And now with just a minute remaining, they're going to have to make some changes.
I just gotta say, are we sure we got the swaps on right with the names? Because it seems that a full hold has now just absolutely swapped out. I don't know what happened there. Well, not literally. I know what happened with the fight, but I mean more with how Icarus are now playing the Wrecking Ball composition to their strengths and how well it's really working. They're almost like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like Huey has not missed a beat. Coming in and immediately farming these Transcendences like it's nothing. Cuddle now over onto that Genji. We've seen some Genji today, and I'm a little confused if I'm being honest. I don't know what Genji's really accomplished in this current meta. I think that's one of the very few heroes that are viable for the moment, but better you guys than me. I don't know how to play Genji. Peanuts here under a lot of trouble. Great kill from DeFran using all of that matrix to keep them up, and oh, never mind going on a flank, but gets taken down. Peanuts with a great pick could be the opening that Phoenix Rebirth needs here. And now all of a sudden they have the high ground and point control. All they don't have here is this little bunker on the side, but that Zen Genji duel, a Kiwi. Oh my goodness, the fresh sub is not running into any issues here. And now Peanuts in a bit of trouble. Is going to get pressured down as well as the... Get 2 ticks on the board now. I don't think Icarus can challenge anymore, and they do give it up and go back to point B. Phoenix Rebirth in overtime are able to secure this and now have 3 minutes to attack the second point.
What a world that we live in, to where a Genji immediately switches onto the map, and that's the deciding factor that opens things up. That is something that I would never tell my kids a bedtime story about. Either way,
Never mind.
we are going to be seeing how they want to try and take this. They are still lacking on ultimates, and very much the Widowmaker is going to have a lot more issues being able to move in, especially with Nevermind taking them out.
Yeah, never mind. Great harass on the Widow to take down a lot of burst damage potential from Phoenix Rebirth. And now they're going to commit the bongos, though. I'm not sure how I feel about that, as Phoenix Rebirth are committing ultimates to a fight that, in my opinion, has already been lost. It's almost impossible to capture a point B on any 2CP map if you get picked first, and that's exactly what's happening. Phoenix Rebirth are being sent packing, and they waste a lot of time, but more crucially, give up a lot of free outcharge of Icarus.
Pretty good, at least. You managed to force out the mines, but this is by far the biggest thing that you have to worry about. But I'm more curious why Star is continuing to run out on this Orisa. It's not really going to be working as strong.
Adore?
Don't worry about her. Adore is adorable, alright? The break is just busted, alright? That is what my phrase is.
Adore's not just adorable, Adore's a menace to public safety. That double kill have all of a sudden changed the fight around. Phoenix Rebirth are not able to push in with the blade in tow as well. Nevermind going down. A lot of burst damage down there. Cutting out, swinging, hacking, and dicing into the back line. That is 2 for the Genji. The point is cut wide open. And oh my goodness, Froggy does not stand a chance. Even the Tracer is forced to recall early. Tuttle has single-handedly opened up this point, and Phoenix Rebirth are fully there supporting their Genji. As soon as that blade came out, they push forward to distract the enemy team as much as possible. Icarus now are in full stall mode status. Their best stall potential is going to get the lead. Bob on point out already at half health, and is not going to be long for this Earth either. ATR now finally unbothered, getting to free fire for a little bit for the first time this map, is going to be able to keep everybody alive through that amp matrix. The Transcendence there from Akivi, though, is able to going to help everybody stabilize. Deadeye is going to come out, status goes down. Door no longer on the field, so just ATR's heals to worry about for Icarus, but Phoenix Rebirth take no prisoners. No break, no problem. They finally secure the map after a bit of a struggle bus point A, if I'm being honest. Their point B attack looked a little scuffed at times, but they eventually made that work with individual talent. And that's what's so formidable about this team and why they have an undefeated season on their hands. When the teamwork doesn't work out, they have the star power to back it up.
I'm just gonna say, I was not really expecting that blade to get too much room, but it was the fact that Phoenix Rebirth played it as a team. I think more than anything, a lot of Genjis rely on a Nano, rely on their own individual talent, and set themselves up for defeat. When you look a lot better as a team. That blade was absolutely play-worthy. I want to see that in a montage. I might make that montage. Who knows? Either way, my point being, Phoenix Rebirth are doing everything that they can as a team. And that's why we're seeing them succeed as far as they can. And being able to kind of clutch things up. Definitely did not expect them to be able to push all 2 points, especially after that first hold. But now it's going to matter moving in. The regular competition, their support line is going to struggle trying to move in, especially the moment that Peanut sees them.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of stress onto Spike to get those DMs just right, to escort a Kiwi and Froggies into the right area, and Froggies they're going to be under a lot of stress, and it's basically going to be in a 1v1 against Cuddle. Well, then, we're gonna just pause the fight for a little bit, for a couple of seconds. Nevermind comes back from spawn. A great headshot coming out from Peanuts to stop this push before it even began. And Phoenix Rebirth here, one map to go. They have their win condition. Give up 5 ticks, and they'll still be okay for that grand final spot waiting.
Yeah, they are trying to kind of set themselves up, give their own room for their squishies to be able to move around, but it's not really working out into their favor, solely from the fact that Peanut was alive to be able to shoot you. Now they're stuck onto the bottom ground. It's all up to Cuddle to kind of bring it back into their favor, especially with that clean mechanic.
Yeah, Cuddle's Genji mechanics are absolutely impeccable, and that movement as well, breaking ankles left, right, and center. A Kiwi is going to find the picks, and eventually Adore and Cuddle are both going to go down. And it looks like Phoenix Rebirth are in a little bit of trouble here as Icarus now move their way forward, and a Kiwi is just fearlessly in the middle of the enemy team getting headshot after headshot after headshot. A Kiwi has the Transcendence on. Never mind. Kiwi is going to die as Icarus are going to give up that free pick, but they are going to finish their capture, and they have almost 6 minutes on the clock to get 3 points of point B. Phoenix Rebirth are going to have to make something work here.
Yeah, I gotta admit, the Wrecking Ball composition had me a little bit more skeptical, but they set themselves up for victory, especially because Phoenix gave up their own high ground, which is very much what they had to rely on. Though their comp is gonna be a lot stronger, as long as they don't let this happen. And what's about to happen is Nevermind's going to look to pull someone, Satis is going to knock them in the air, and it is going to be a disaster. But it gets eaten!
It gets in, but it doesn't matter. Star and Cuddler are in the ground already. ATR does have the Ad Matrix and lets it rip, but the Transcendence and the Rally is there for Froggies and the Kiwi. Some ult stacking, casually letting both support ults rip, and oh my goodness, they don't touch. They don't touch. Star, where did you go? Hello? Oh my goodness.
Phoenix were sent back into the Shadow Realm, Dark Magicians out here, and that's all I've got to say. Icarus, though, I think with the Kiwi, they feel a lot more confident. They look a lot more synergized, even by a tiny bit, and that's all that matters when it comes to these types of games. Phoenix Rebirth, though, 1 minute to cap a point, maybe even 2 against 5 minutes. This isn't like King's Row where you can definitely see someone being able to capture all 6 with a minute. This is 2CP. This is where respawns are absolutely destroying you. So I'm going to be seeing kind of a hit or miss when it comes to trying to make them work, but I think what more of they're going to be looking at is lowering down their opponent's timing. If Phoenix Rebirth can just slow them down, figure out how this Wrecking Ball composition is playing, they'll be able to break it. And I definitely kind of agree to that sentiment. I think the Wrecking Ball composition is very much powerful here, and Rebirths are kind of setting themselves up for that failure in their slight positionings and how their DPS keep getting found out. So I want to be seeing a little more out of them.
Yeah, no, this is a scenario I did not expect after Phoenix captured both points on their attack, and they're going to come out on a comp we've seen before. And what is super important here is how Adore and ATR play, because we saw those supports go down over and over again, especially ATR being the first player dead in a lot of engagements. So it's going to be very important to see that that's no longer becoming a habit.
Already seem to be setting up. Phoenix Rebirth are trying to play as they did before, where they're trying to take their time, look for these quick picks, and it seems to be working, especially with Cuddle on the flanks.
Yeah, and Cuddle already halfway of their way to a Blade, and given this current raid, will have Blade just in time for overtime, but oh my goodness, Peanuts is going to go down, the DMAC comes through, ATR is going to take the L as well. That is the last thing that Phoenix needed, and Cuddle, you better get out or die fast, because 10 seconds left of the clock. I don't know if there's anything else Phoenix Rebirth can do, as we see Peanuts switch over to the Tracer and Star over onto the ball to touch. Adore! Peanuts touch, yes. So overtime is triggered here. Cuddle now onto the Widow, as okay, Peanuts won the one there to be able to kill the enemy Tracer. Can the tanks come back to touch? Yes, they can. Star dies, but the Fran is now on the point. Adore switching onto the Lucio to touch now, as the window has now been deployed as well. The App Matrix is there, but Phoenix Reaper just don't have the kills to back it up. The rally and the transition coming out from Icarus as well. I believe they have secured themselves a draw at the very least, so this will not be ending at this map, or but it might be at the next. So Icarus here making a habit of stacking their trans and rally. That might be a slight misstep that they have to iron and massage out, but in the grand scheme of things, looking very, very healthy.
And definitely see what you mean. Phoenix Reaper, 100%. Have given themselves room to draw this out. I don't think you want to go to a map 6 though. That is so drain. Have you ever been to a map 6? I've been to a map 7.
Yes,
before.
I have.
Oh my, you poor soul.
I have casted a map 7, and my goodness.
All right, listen. All right, I relate to that. I relate to that sentiment, and my goodness, can it just be draining to just play this long, especially after getting 2 good full holds, and now you're the one being on to the back foot. I feel that's such conflicting feelings, where at first your ego's up, you're feeling like, yeah, we've got this, and then they're like, wait a second, their gaming chair, they've turned off the recliner, they're sitting up, they're ready to take us out, especially with Kiwi back in. They're gonna be looking a lot cleaner. Their executions have been absolutely excellent too. I think Phoenix were hoping that they would make the same mistakes as they did before, but that wasn't a last second fight scenario where Icarus were making kind of a big mistake. They're panicking under the pressure. They're now kind of full adrenaline up and paying attention. So using this composition, trying to break this double shield, it's not going to be too hard, because Icarus have already shown they're proficient at breaking stuff.
And Cuddle now is going to be on the Torbjorn. We saw that on the attack front, and they decided to switch off of it, and we never saw it again. I don't think we've seen it on defense, and Torb does seem a little more viable playing defense, as we see that poor turret getting chunked down with no response. Sad as full house, really good slam, tossing the break and a reset up in there, and Spike immediately follows up on the damage. Now the Cassidy flashbang is going to slow down that wrecking ball progress here, but as long as you keep getting trades like this, the attacking team is very happy. But Peanuts has a different idea. The hit scan superstar on the side of Phoenix Reaper, they're keeping things alive. Off the Widow, on the Cassidy, same difference, same result.
Hey, that was looking really nice for a solid minute until Peanut put it into high gear. Cassidy is still very much a threat to kind of consider in this close quarters map. Now you're having to worry about how it goes playing this.
So it looks like Star was a little bit slow to reset onto the high ground and got run over on their way up there, but not quite sure why that's the path they ended up taking. I'm definitely going to have to lock review that one. And Kiwi is going to get taken down. Icarus's menace in the back line, as Cuddle is going to get something done on Orb as well. The turret on the point, we're not far away from Molten Core, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Phoenix Reaper don't have ults to work with here. His ATR now switches over onto the Mora to touch fast, but never mind. It's going to touch down Phoenix now, and the Pulse Bomb is online, and it's just the break on point. The rally is there as well, but put your shield up, buddy. You got no health left. A door is going to cut down as well. No replays of her heroics on her attack run for Phoenix Rebirth, and it's just now full stall or clock here. Can anybody else? No, they cannot. Icarus looking so very clean on Volskaya, tying up the series 2-2. And now we head to, for the second time this evening, a map 5 tiebreaker.
I'm absolutely amazed. 2 map 5s in one day. These teams don't want to lose at all. And I've got to say, that's exactly what we're looking for when it comes to GitGud. These teams bring everything that they've got to be able to take the victory, and that's why they are definitely worth your viewing time. It's absolutely beautiful the way that they kind of took that fight. It was almost a little scary, though, because there were so many trades. We even saw 3 people starting to come back from Phoenix Rebirth, so they had an opportunity to kind of start bringing it back, but that boop. Mwah. A lot of kisses coming out. They just set up their win conditions, and that's pretty much kind of the bread and butter of how it works. Phoenix Rebirth just did not know how to play against the Wrecking Ball comp in Volskaya. However, we now go back on to Control, and that is by far the worst thing you could do if you're Phoenix Remix. You had to finish it on Volskaya, because now Icarus, they won on on control. I think they are really good on control. So, yeah, you fought them to kind of a standstill, but depending on the map choice, it can be much of an issue going forward.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle here for them, and going on to control, their confidence might be shaken already. And on the side of Icarus, they're going to want to keep the momentum up. They're going to want to keep pushing, keep playing, and to keep the tempo up and to keep break times to a minimum. And that might be coming up. I don't think we're getting a break here. So we're just going to keep pushing through onto map 5, just waiting for teams to select a map, and we can get going again. Breakneck pace here and get good. Shout out our producers, Luca and Capitano, keeping things going, and a live user. I don't even know how to set this up. Our second map 5 of the day. It's all coming ahead.
Man, the way I want to set this up is, I think, more of a sentiment. It is this storyline has been interesting. A lot when we look at these teams, we're trying to make it as entertaining as possible. But that's not enough without kind of the help of our producers, and they've been doing absolutely fantastic. There's so many people behind the scenes. I'd recommend checking out the GitGud Twitter, because that's where you can see everyone's social medias and see who's making this beautiful broadcast exist. I know they hear me. So, when moving into our last map, Lijiang Tower, we're gonna have one more entertaining map to try to prove it to you. And look at that. Don't worry about that small mistake. All right, the producers are doing great. You don't know what you're talking about. Lijiang Tower. This is not very much a Wrecking Ball map. It still very much can be a Wrecking Ball map. I think it just matters on what point we're going to be landing on first and second. If it goes to all three, then it's debatable. But if we get first kind of two of like Gardens and Night Market, this very much can go into the favor of Icarus.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a real litmus test for the backbone, the spine, and the spirit of Phoenix Rebirth here, and might need them to live up to their name here, because if I'm being completely honest, they have looked a little boomed. They are really struggling to string it together, and I think in their head, they know that Icarus had to bring ringers to the game and don't have a full roster, and when you're expected to win, when you're the favorite like that brings its own pressure that you've never had before. All of a sudden you have something to lose, and that's why we all root for and want to be the underdog, because in a way it's easier mentally to deal with that underdog pressure than it is to deal with being the favorites. And we're seeing that play out with Phoenix Rebirth. So they need to bang their heads together, get a really good pep talk in, and come back refreshed and stronger, because Icarus don't look like they're going to slow down.
Man, more than anything, I think it matters on your mentals and how you're looking at this. A lot of teams, one second. Oh man, that is Mika's day. A lot of these teams are looking more at how they're going to take this fight. They're not saying to themselves, "Man, last fight, what a poopy butthole." No. They're sitting there saying, "All right, guys, clean up. We've got this." It's raining out the tears of the chat. They want to see their favorite team win, but who is going to deny somebody their own satisfaction? I can't really say. It is going to be interesting, though. Seeing that pause out, that's the interesting part. But more than anything, I think kind of the idea, we get a little peek at their comps. I don't know how well Dive is on Lijiang Tower. I definitely think Wrecking Ball works because it's a lot faster and a lot more mobile. But Dive, not the best.
Bit of a debate. Maybe it's not exactly what we were planning for here, but that can come later. Lijiang is a very dynamic map. I have a soft spot for Lijiang because it's, like I said, it's an hour away from where I grew up. It's the Lijiang itself is actually a river. That's what the Jiang in Lijiang means, and the downtown area is based on a city called Yangshuo. That's like the main tourist attraction area there, and Lijiang runs right through the middle of Yangshuo, and there's a great little night market, and a lot of things to do on the water, and I'm just a big fan of that map. It brings back a lot of good memories from a lot of trips that I took with my friends there. So it's like the first trip I took with my friends without my parents. So I was like 14, 15, and like very ooh, we're adults kind of moment. So I do have a very much of a soft spot for Yangshuo, and I love that made it into Overwatch.
Man, that's absolutely fascinating. You see, I come from a small land of Puerto Rico, so I'm not going to get a big map like that. So kind of hearing these stories in the sense of It's so beautiful just to be able to see that. I feel like if you were to go in the map, you could point something out, and to me, no, I would never know.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see that kind of like detailed representation because you could tell the teams really put a lot of love into kind of really representing and capturing the spirit of the area. So obviously there's a rocket about to take off, so it doesn't look anything like Yangshuo actually looks like, but the spirit of the night market and how it's almost always a festivity, like a festive party vibe in Yangshuo. Everybody's just happy to be there. I think that's captured really well on Lijiang, so I'm a big fan of that.
Man, I've got to say, it is also just a beautiful map. These teams have made complete swaps of what they want to run. Phoenix Rebirth running out onto that, teleporting, bro, it's ordinary. Icarus, though, playing the competition, already ready to counter it. They're going to have to get some big picks if they want to shut this down. It's really all up to Woofy and Sadis to set things up for them.
Yeah, and Sadis is going to have a really tough time picking up against not just the Cassidy flashbang, but also the Symmetra turrets. That's going to be really tough for a Wrecking Ball to play into, and yep, Sadis is going to get sent off the map straight into that CC comp, and I'm going to be honest, I'm just a Plat player, so what do I know, but Icarus are going to have a really tough time coming up trying to assault this composition with this Ball, Diva, Tracer, like divey, timing heavy coordination.
I think the more thing they have to worry about is just the fact that they don't have a Pharah or Echo, so they can't really have burst damage. They're looking off getting a pick and playing so split, and it eventually works, but it takes a lot of time, and they are still set to be able to bring this back.
Yeah, and time is so crucial on control maps because all of this control percentage is not just going back towards Phoenix Rebirth, it's also a chance for the respawns to come back. Star eventually is going to go down a door, lets the beat drop. The sound barrier does expire eventually, but the stall is still there, and they get up to 43% here. Icarus had to give up a lot of time, but they do eventually end up winning. I mean, that's almost like winning the first fight, because it felt like it was just one long fight happening. So I don't know how that plays into it, but they did give up a lot of capture percentage to make this work.
Yep, it was just a sentiment of time. That dragon was trying to predict them, but the
almost Giga Brave.
Yeah, the teleport itself is a bait.
Oh no, Star gets sent off the map and the Pulse Bomb 6-2. Phenomenal work from the Lucio and Tracer of Nevermind and Froggy's Icarus. Now that they have this hold on the point, both these teams have set themselves up in a way that they're really hard to attack. Because Phoenix Rebirth can make their way towards the point and then get shot at from like 6 different directions. So it's going to be tough for them to make on, just as difficult as it was for Sadis to get any work done on the Wrecking Ball on attack. So another teleporter is going to come up, this time onto the back line, forcing Froggies to beat, but not before a Kiwi goes down. So without Ana, that's a lot of healing unavailable for the tank line of Icarus here, and the Deadeye is going to come out, takes the TP away. Oh my goodness, Sadis, your ankles are broken and you are back in spawn. Great TP Deadeye combination there, and Phoenix Reaper, through some really good pathing and a bit of hero play here, are going to reclaim the objective.
I have never felt like a Plat player than the brain power they just showed me. That was absolutely phenomenal. I wanted to point out how they need to be using their teleporters to be playing more aggressively or to bait and let them move it on the Ana. Ana and Lucia are by far the biggest issues that they're going to have because they're going to be able to keep the team up, have that longevity there. Using that teleporter onto them was right, and forcing them to use that sound barrier because they want to keep their Ana up, perfect. But then you use the Heinen teleport, and I get it, man. I'm Plat. Don't show me up like this.
And I also don't think that sound barrier connected with the Kiwi, but the Kiwi does now have the Nano Boost online. Goes in, taking so much damage, gets shattered as well. Nano Boost is not going to save you there, buddy, because a self-destruct lands on your head. Spike is going to get DMAX as well. Icarus are in trouble. They have one more fight and no ultimates to work with other than Wolfie's Dragon Strike.
Phoenix Rebirth's composition is just so good for this longevity here. They're just going to be able to sustain each other and even pop out this window for that extra damage, being in this last fight to area. Icarus no longer have room to set up. They can't take their time.
Alright, and not just that, Phoenix Rebirth now have a sound barrier to work with as well. Icarus are running into a world of hurt, but they have to touch the point, they have to throw out his forward because it's overtime. Deadeye is online as well, the symmetrical wall expires, but I don't think anything else is going to change here, and they cannot touch Phoenix Rebirth. A fantastic round here to get control. They lead 1-0, they are 1 round away, 100 seconds of capture percentage away from booking a spot in the grand final.
Oh no, I was going to say I am hoping that we go to Gardens next because that is the best point for Icarus. This is worst case scenario. And I think that's a given from the fact that Phoenix Rebirth already understand how a teleport works, so they're ready to be able to punch onto you or really play. They are switching their composition up a little bit, which may be a bit of a further issue. I still think Phoenix Rebirth have a very good chance of being able to play against it. It more matters if Icarus are going to be able to play against it more than anything.
Junkrat's Yasin is going to be very difficult for Satis to do anything about here, as they wisely choose to take the long way around, giving the Echo lots of long sidelines to work with here because Phoenix Rebirth don't have a single person to touch that Echo. So as long as Wolfie lands their shots, that could be a big game changer for Icarus.
Yeah, they are kind of looking for that split. Satis is just taking so much damage they can't even set up, and they're having a big issue taking control of the point. I think they're breaking that TV. It's going to be a big point for them to be able to move in.
Yeah, they're so, oh no, Wolfie gets caught on the ground by the Junkrat, and all of a sudden Phoenix Rebirth have a man advantage here. They're so good at using the TP to get not just into fights, but out of trouble as well, and that's the only view that the Star's still alive. The tanks are just alternating touches using the TP. Pulse Bomb goes out, catches the Lucio, a door goes down. ACR does have the Ad Matrix, chooses to hold on to it for the time being though, as Kiwi now closer and closer onto their Nano Boost of their own. The fight is being turned around, nobody's captured the point yet. The Nano Boost is now online, it's going to come out. Not quite, as Kiwi now under so much stress, so much trouble. The Nano Boost eventually is, nope, still not going to come out. And great direct hit onto the Lucio as well. Kiwi showing up, no warm up, no problem. Those are fantastic mechanics. A direct hit, a body shot on Lucio, a nade, and then another shot from the melee. Got the door so low, and the teammates were there to clean her up, sorry. As Icarus now, against all odds, have managed to lock this down.
They are just, Phoenix Rebirth has been so long for these fights. This wall will help them a little bit, but they need to be taking it much faster.
Oh, that Nano Slam plus the mine absolutely deleted Cuddle. And Sad is now on the map that he said wasn't a good ball map, is absolutely popping off, having a series of his lifetime. Won't be down in bit trouble, eventually able to get that cooldown out of the way, still being chunked down solo. No mercy means no immediate kills on the Echo, and they choose not to commit the duplication here either, because it looks like they've already won the fight, and Kiwi now safely just going to recharge those ultimates. Oh wow! Okay, so the Shatter does come out. Star with the Shatter. He's going to get taken out by the Pulse Pump. I don't know how I feel about that investment.
You put words into my mouth, okay? Alright, I said it's not that strong if Phoenix Rebirth play to their strengths. They have not been playing to their strengths at all in the way that they want to take these fights. And Icarus have been showing up by taking these engagements first. They've been looking absolutely beautiful. Now they have a big ultimate that relies on splitting them up.
Yeah, and Peanuts unable to get too much work done with the Deadeye here, but they do get a lot of point presence. The Diva Bomb comes out though, so no shield is going to be a lot of problem for Star, but it doesn't matter. Wolfie and Spike are going to go down very, very early on, and a Kiwi going down means that Nano Boost, okay, Nano Boost is going to be committed, but no more burst healing of the Ana is going to come out. The ball is doing everything in their ability to stall, get them to OT, but it is a lost fight for Icarus, and they know it.
Man. Definitely have to agree. It's just a bit of an unfortunate scenario. You also couldn't use that bomb the way you wanted to. They pushed onto the point. You were very in an uncomfortable position. This is where Phoenix Rebirth have a better chance of holding this point solely because their competition works better. They can definitely hold this close. They can just brawl on if they
don't
want
hold
to.
it close,
and
though.
yet they're very scared because they don't want to sacrifice that point tick or recapture. It's try.
Yeah, lovely move from a door to stop Satis in his tracks as the mines now come through, and the burst damage is enormous. A door there trying to keep everybody up with a great sound barrier. The duplication onto the Reinhardt is going to come out as well, and this Echo Ride is going to be unstoppable, hitting the back line. Does the hammer come down? Yes, it does. The Eagle Flash Shatter, absolutely enormous. Can Icarus turn this to a very rough point one? Yes, they can. It is drawn up 1-1, and once again for the second series this evening, back-to-back tiebreaker rounds on tiebreaker maps. Wow, user, what a series. What an evening of Overwatch we've had on our hands.
I definitely gotta say that I agree. Now this is where I feel more scared for Phoenix Rebirth. This is very much a very dive-heavy map, and I think Icarus have shown very much proficiency when it comes to this wrecking ball composition. And Phoenix Rebirth, they've been struggling not only to adapt to a Kiwi who has been kind of showing up, coming back in here, and there's a slight difference that a Kiwi has been making, and that's the fact that the team seems to be a bit more comfortable with playing. Kiwi's being able to set up in positions to where the team's able to kind of peel back from. They seem to always know where a Kiwi is, and that's what I like to see. That's kind of why it matters a lot to have your main team or just synergy, as my camera wants to be a little weird. I think we're seeing that a lot, especially with how good a Kiwi is. A Kiwi didn't get hit by that shatter because the Kiwi knew that they don't have to overstep themselves to hit their shots and be with their team. They were able to keep up their baby Diva, which meant that Diva's going to be alive for much longer. Ryan got taken out. Boom. While Phoenix Rebirth are trying to play Brawl into a composition that's continuously running away from them, taking a U-turn and then slamming down, meaning that they are getting hit with damage before they can even hit their opponents. That's why you see this kind of a lot better with these compositions going up against them. You just teleport directly to somebody and take them out.
Yeah, you're right. Icarus has been doing so well at kiting that aggression from Phoenix, and then as soon as Phoenix use up their resources, no more speed boost, low DM, low shield, you slap back and you clap in so hard, and it's been working so well. And because after that first round, it feels like they adapted really well to the ability of the Symmetra teleporter to make a big difference. And as soon as they were to kill a TP fast and to rotate out of the way nice and early on, they have looked so clean and so comfortable. Now, given the way this next map is shaped, you have that rotunda in the middle. It's going to be kind of hard to set up super long sightlines when you're squabbling over the point. So I'm very interested to see how that exactly plays out. We're just waiting for the pause to end, as we are being told it is a hardware issue on one of the players, so we are going to maybe just hang out here until somebody can Control-Alt-Delete their way into a restart. But nope, I lied. We're going straight back into the schedule already. They are going on the Balcom, and Phoenix Rebirth are matching, but this time with a dive along with the Sombra.
Who needs a hardware issue? They have dive. They're going in fast. They already find the first bit.
ATR out for the first time today is going to be the first death that Flexiport is just being farmed, as the Icarus are focusing that so hard, and it's got to be tough being singled out as a target like this, as Froggy living up to her name on the Lucio, never touching the ground, just staying on the wall the whole time, being such a pain in the neck with those groups just disrupting everybody else's movement. And Phoenix Rebirth are going for a soft reset, but that elimination on Defran means that there is going to be no Diva and no Matrix available for this push, and they are sent back home.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. The Wrecking Ball composition, it's just a lot better if Cuddle isn't going to just continuously be hacking the people who are engaging on you, which is not what they're being set up to do.
Oh, Peanuts is going to be taken up by Nate as well, but a Kiwi does end up eventually trading that out. The Pulse Bomb gets stuck, a DMAC comes through, EMP catches 3, and Icarus ignores it. Icarus just EMP'd and just completely ignores it. The kill feed still lights up blue on red, and never mind, it's letting them know who's boss.
It's like I said, if you're not shutting down Sadis, who is immediately allowing people to come in, or Wolfie, the two main engagers, you are just setting yourself up for defeat. They're not even having to use their ultimates, rather just resources. They're already going to be coming up on 5 to retake this fight, and you use the biggest one in your pocket.
Alright, Nano Boost is now online. Are we going to commit? Not quite yet, until Kiwi figures that they might die, so they have to let it rip as soon as possible. Adore now with the sound barrier online as well. Both support also are going to be stacked here. Never mind, so close to a Pulse Bomb as well. Dipping, dodging, and ducking their way through all this damage. Pulse Bomb online. Are we going to commit here? Because Kiwi is going down. A lot of heals not available, but Adore going down as well means that there are no supports here for Rebirth as soon as that Mura dies, and she does. Icarus might just be able to hold on to this and not commit too many ultimates because, well, they run out of the hack that comes up with the spike. Phoenix Rebirth are still trickling onto the front, but if they don't end this engagement soon, then they're going to have to go into full stall mode. If they end it right now, they could still be able to come out in a more coherent fashion and get one last fight in. This 10-0 team, undefeated so far this season, are looking at their first loss, but they can't get it together.
My goodness, they have to try to make adaptations. They're not playing this as a brawl comp. They're playing it like a dive, and it's hurting them.
Froggy doesn't just take out the baby dealer. Froggy took out the map too with that boop. Both the tanks have been deleted. What won't be going down could be the light on the horizon, the silver diamond that Phoenix Rebirth defeated. But I don't think that's going to be enough. It's a Kiwi popping up yet again. Then OT timer starts to tick down. As long as that loser is out of the fight, that is not going to be a problem for Icarus. They have no players. They had ringers, and they don't have the people that had the lower seed, but somehow Icarus are making this work in their favor. All they have to do is wait out this team up, and they do! Icarus takes the win 3-2. Despite the circumstances, they are going to the grand final.
I can't believe it. A team that got full health twice brings it back this hard? That's not something that you often see, and that is giving to the skills and talent and the love that we should be giving to Team Icarus. As you know, as much as they beat Chimp Club, oh my god, as much as they beat Chimp Club, and as much as that makes me sad because you know, it's one of my friends on the team or whatever. Icarus have shown that they are one of the teams that have one of the best chances to reach that grand final champion title. Phoenix Rebirth, while they fall into the losers bracket and they have a moment to kind of refresh, bring it back, I think they have a big issue to work on when it comes to going up against a Wrecking Ball and how to play Shadow Dive and how you're fundamentally supposed to kind of go with it. But they still look great on like everything else. It's just that's kind of scary if Icarus change that much by feeling comfortable in their own atmosphere.
Yeah, and Saddest on the ball has been a game changer. A lot of times that commitment to the Wrecking Ball was a bit of a stress factor that I was a little uncomfortable watching, but eventually the quality of the Wrecking Ball play just came out on top of that inflexibility, and we can see here, like you said, full health twice, Kings River and Junkertown were absolute washes for Phoenix, but Icarus got it together. They bound their heads together like, hey, ringer or not, I don't care. A Kiwi subbing in, and we're going to win. And Volskaya was absolutely ridiculous, and Lee Jiang, the last 2 points, were absolutely dominant. What a series we had on our hands. And I know a Kiwi only showed up for the last couple maps, but, I mean, that's a very valuable player to have on the squad. If they come in and your play changes that much, make sure a Kiwi's never late again.
I definitely have to agree. If that's a sentiment that you're giving to your players and how much that changes, that's either a future Overwatch pro or you guys are just one of the most synergized teams, and that's absolutely what I'd love to see. I definitely think Icarus had to fight for every point that they earned, and going into grand finals, especially in the semis, it's only going to get harder. So they're going to have to start changing things up and getting prepared, especially since this is their second Map 5, obviously against Chimp Club in more of a yesterday game. I definitely would want to see a more clean 3-0 because that means that you are convinced that in yourself, confident in yourself to be able to just immediately win. But I can understand the Map 5. I just like to overestimate teams sometimes.
But this was way better television.
Oh, it is. This is going to make great content. And especially, I just hate that it's the end. Especially because we've had such two great series, wonderful chat today, represent by the way, and my goodness, I can't believe that it's over, Charles.
It is over, but we will be back next week to bring you the grand finals.
Oh, no.
Where we will definitely see Icarus. Oh, 2 weeks?
No. Sunday. We've still got a couple more teams that need to get their matches in.
Yes, we do have a losers bracket to play out in a lot of our different tiers, so we will be back on this channel at Elo Health Esports. From all the staff here at GitGud, thank you so much for stopping by. Shout out to our producers and our OBS technicians to be absolutely top of their line. Every time I work with this org, I show up and I just talk, I just cruise because the production leaves me absolutely nothing to worry about. So check out their Twitter, check out their socials. If you have work, hit them up. Check out User and myself on Twitter and Instagram as well. Our tags are right here. And from everybody here at GitGud and Elo Health Esports, wherever you are, whatever time it is, good morning, good night. We'll see you again.